Welcome to Truist Point here at High Point, North Carolina. The surprise team of the tournament, number 6 Gardner-Webb, takes on number 3 UNC Asheville, their best ever finish in Big South tournament action. Evan Bundrovich and Cole Hallam here guiding you through day 1 and game 2 of the Big South tournament. Here's what's on the line. Charleston Southern just trumped High Point earlier this afternoon. The loser of this matchup, UNC Asheville and Gardner-Webb, they play tonight in the elimination bracket, which means winning this game and facing USC Upstate tomorrow is extremely important.
It is. Just getting started on the tournament on the right foot is so huge. You can preserve your pitching and really build a ton of confidence in your team. So it starts right now for both these teams getting started on the right foot.
Of course, you want to stay in the winner's round and keep moving forward. Gardner-Webb had to wait until the final day of the regular season to earn its spot in the tournament. Actually lost against North Carolina A&T, but as Winthrop went down to Asheville, the Bulldogs kind of set up their opponent by beating Asheville and now facing Gardner-Webb.
It's interesting how things shake out. It's always a fun tournament when it comes down to the last weekend, and very fitting for both these teams to be slotted against one another.
Gardner-Webb is second in the conference in home runs, so they swing for big power under Coach Jim Chester. UNC Asheville, they turn the most double plays of any team in this Big South. Really defensive-minded club.
It is, and in talking to Coach, it was all about defense. It was double play-minded. They want to turn that double play and turn that over, let their offense rally around that piece. Because
you want to support Ryan Douglas, who gets the ball. The Climax North Carolina product threw 5 innings of 1-run ball against Gardner-Webb when these teams last met. How does he repeat that performance?
Well, it starts with strikes early. Get ahead of these hitters, find a way to mix speeds, and it's all going to be about forcing weak contact. Not a huge strikeout guy, but weak contact early could position him to pitch deep into this game.
Here's the Sunbelt Reynolds starting lineup. Alec Burns, 14 home runs. Big power in the middle of this order. And then likes of Capobianco and Humberto Torres. It's a lineup that doesn't hit for average at a high rate, but tremendous power in this order.
Sometimes that's all it takes. You have to find your way on base, and next thing you know, there's a home run hitter at the plate that can put a crooked number on the board. And, I think it's safe to say Gardner-Webb's going to have to live and die a little bit by the long ball this tournament.
Facing a pitcher in Ryan Douglas, 56 innings, 54 strikeouts, so about a strikeout per frame. It's a unique combination that UNC Asheville implores. They go with a Friday opener, most weekend series. So Scott Friedholm, he's changing the formula and going with a traditional starter in Ryan Douglas to open this Big South tournament.
Yeah, I like it. Try to get yourself started out on solid footing, give your defense a chance to settle in, and if you can put up a couple zeros early, that may be all it takes to get the offense involved.
Especially when you consider this Gardner-Webb team has won 2 of its last 3 series. Jacob Marcus, who hits leadoff, he's been a .293 hitter, getting on at a nice clip. The last thing you want to do is play with fire in this opener format and then fall to the elimination bracket tonight.
Exactly. Put a trusted arm out there, somebody you know that's going to give you a chance, and I think Douglas is that guy. He's going to give him a chance deep in this game.
And a leadoff base hit for Jacob Marcus. What a nice start for the center fielder for Jim Chester's club.
Well, nothing better than a leadoff hit, leadoff base runner. Now you can start to open up your offense. There's an array of different options for you to go with, and good piece of hitting.
A.J. Jones.
Cole, let's dive into our Ingles keys to the game, because for Gardner-Webb, they got to embrace the dog, right? It's a matchup of Bulldogs, one versus the other, and Jim Chester said we're the underdog of this tournament. Didn't expect to get in 2 weeks ago, and here they are now as the 6th seed.
It was unique in that conversation to hear how much they've embraced the role of being the underdog. They found a way to enjoy it. They enjoy having the chip on their shoulder, kind of walking into a fight mentality. And, I think they like thinking that it's them against the world at this point.
A Gardner-Webb team that started 2-7 in Big South play, facing a UNC Asheville club that's had their best ever finish in the conference, 14-9-1. Because UNC Asheville, to win these games, they've been so defensive-minded. 49 double plays turned. That's top 10 in the country.
It's very unique. In today's offensive-minded baseball, modern baseball, this is a team that has built themselves around the defensive side of things, and nothing excites this team more than turning the double play. That's what they love to do, and it has a way of sparking their offense, and it's just a unique outlook at this point in baseball.
The Baylor Bears turn a country's best 61 double plays. Asheville's not too far behind, 50 double plays turned. And this is where Gardner-Webb would, momentum's fickle, right? And hitting into double play is such a momentum-gaining ability, and that's what Asheville has built its team on, is turning this defense into offense.
At this point, it's a mindset and it's an approach. So their pitchers are going to pitch down in the zone and try to create rollovers or backside ground balls that they can turn double plays on. So it's a pitching mindset, it's a defense mindset, and when they're able to do those things, it really sparks the offense.
And this pitching, led by Douglas here in this game, it's a unique story, right? Because with the openers, Justin Honeycutt and Ryan Douglas have tag-teamed middle games of the series all week long. Honeycutt leads the conference in ERA. Douglas is right up there with him, his 13th start. They call it the Honey Douglas approach, where you combine the best of both and let them go to work. The Dougie cut, if you will. The Dougie cut combo has pitched all year long, and that's the plan for Asheville today.
And it's kind of unique how it works because you're conceding that you're going to throw two pitchers. The teams know what's going to happen, but they're two guys that feed well off one another. Their stuff sets them up.
And another base hit. That's A.J. Jones in the right field. Pushing to third base, Marcus. So first to third. What an ideal start for the underdogs, the running Bulldogs.
Well, first to third is going to be a big key for them. They like to press the envelope. They like to run the bases hard, but for me, it's going to start with Douglas starting to locate the breaking ball better. That ball is just left up in the zone, and it's a very hittable pitch. And when you hit the baseball that hard, good things happen. Good job of going first to third.
Remember, Gardner-Webb was the 3 seed last year. This was a team that had a ton of power, nearly double the home run productivity from one year to the next. This year's iteration, the power comes from this man right here, Alec Burns, right in the middle of the order. And if Gardner-Webb's going to do well, it all leans on Burns, who drives the first pitch. How about this welcome to the Big South Tournament? And caught at the warning track. So the running Bulldogs strike first on the deep sacrifice fly.
Oh, it's not exactly what I thought it was off the bat. I thought Burns got all of that one, but regardless, good job of being a senior hitter, man. Understand the job, elevate to the outfield, and takes the sac fly. What a great approach to hitting.
Now, in a regular ballpark, that's a home run, especially in Boiling Springs or even in Asheville. But this park is a more pitcher-friendly ballpark. It does give Gardner-Webb the first lead, however, and that can be a big start for Joe Simeone, who's about to pitch in a minute, the strikeout leader in the Big South. These teams met in the regular season, and it was not too long ago, Cole. It's kind of a unique. Our first matchup, Charleston and High Point, those teams had no history. Well, these teams met in the first weekend in May, and Gardner-Webb went up to Asheville, kept their season alive by winning 2 of 3.
It's impressive, and I think at this point they've earned their appearance. I know that there was a little help on the back end of getting in, but this is a team that's largely competitive. They're playing well. They deserve to be here and getting off to a hot start offensively.
Gardner-Webb scored, not only they scored 20 runs in that series, they took the first 2 from Asheville, really set the tone to open that weekend. And now if you're Ryan Douglas, some work to do on the mound. Douglas went 5 innings of 1-run ball when these teams last met. Right in the heart of this Gardner-Webb order. Can they continue? Curtis Rabison, a big bat in this order. 17 doubles. That's hard to replicate. And now an easy advancement as that pitch gets away.
It's really a nice job by Jones. Reading the breaking ball, understands it's going to be down long before the pitch ever hits the dirt or the turf, if you will, but the read allows him to move into scoring position.
Rabison fights it off. The Penn State transfer has another year of eligibility coming back next year, but in this breakout year, after starting 97 games at Penn State, earned second-team All-Big South honors. How'd he do it? Well, in conference play, he hit .310, top 10 in on-base percentage and hits. So truly a nonstop threat in the heart of this order. And showing you why with a base hit up the middle. Getting the turnaround third is A.J. Jones. And Gardner Webb strikes for a 2-run lead.
And what a job by Robinson picking up the 2-strike RBI. Takes advantage of another pitch from Douglas that's just up in the zone and stays with it right up the middle. And I tell you what, Jones can run the bases. Great job rounding third. Never a chance to get him at home, but what's impressive is right there, Robinson sneaking into second base, understanding that that cut will be missed. And
effectively turning into a double.
Exactly. Trading places. It's just a really nice job of base running and taking advantage of a bad throw from the outfield.
So this is where we saw in the first game today, Charleston Southern scored 4 runs in the blink of an eye with nobody out. Gardner Webb has repeated that formula as the underdog, if you will. How about what Gardner Webb's been able to do coming out strong in this first inning?
Well, they're on time. They're executing their approach, and when they're hitting the baseball, they're getting rewarded for it. So it seems that the scouting report from what they saw earlier on this season, it has paid off. You know, sometimes it pays to see the other pitcher once before, and they seem to be well prepared. But for me, what we didn't see earlier was High Point never stopped the bleeding. Yes, there was damage done early, as there has been already here in the first with 2 on the board for Gardner Webb, but it's a long way from over. If they can stop the bleeding, I think they're still in fine situation.
A Gardner Webb team that in the series against UNC Asheville, A.J. Jones was fantastic. 6 hits on the weekend. And this order really stepped up to win 2 games at Asheville. At the time, Gardner Webb was tearing towards 10th, 11th in the standings, and that propelled Gardner Webb right back in the race. It's sort of fitting when you lose your final game of the season and get in because of help around you with Asheville's win, how that could infect so much confidence into a team.
It can. They got their shot, and they believe it. They believe in themselves. They know they belong, and coming out here swinging, looking really good. I always think what's ironic about baseball is there may be a team ranked significantly higher than somebody standings-wise in conference, but may not always present the best matchup. Those two teams, may not match up the way you think they would by ranking, and anybody can beat anybody. It's a blank slate here in the tournament.
So, with Bradley laying off that pitch, here's a real chance. Dagan Brady, can this Gardner Webb team continue a big inning? Because the combination of Ryan Douglas and Honeycutt have been really good, that Dougie Cutt combination. And another base hit. How about that, sitting on the breaking ball? First and third again for Gardner Webb. The hits just keep on coming.
They do. It seems at this point Gardner Webb is sitting dead red off speed. Every pitch that they've hit has been largely off speed. That one no different. Just a little cutter, slider style pitch, but not down enough or off the plate enough. It seems like a lot of the pitches from Chandler have either been elevated or middle, and that's allowing these Gardner Webb bats to just get their hands extended away from the body and stay to the big part of the field.
Gardner Webb in conference play, the bats picked up tremendously. The batting average jumped 20 points up to 273 just in Big South games. And Peter Capobianco with a huge swing to start this at-bat. Capobianco was one of 6 starters in conference play to hit 290 or better. And more impressively, he had a team best 22 RBI in these Big South games when it really matters most.
That's when it matters most, especially when you come into a tournament and all you're facing is Big South opponents. So the best thing you can have is success against them.
And here's a squeeze bunt. It works to perfection, and Jim Chester pulling all the tricks out of his sleeve.
That's a great call. Everything on the line, first and third. What a great time. Great time to simplify the job. Safety squeeze, executed beautifully, and That'll add another one on the board, but that's well done. No chance for the pitcher Douglas there to go to the plate and really almost let one get away from him down the line.
He hesitated there for just long enough. And now Gardner-Webb with an ideal start offensively. Here's Humberto Torres, who in the series against Asheville, he just flat out raked. 4 hits and 3 doubles up in Asheville. It's more just the great breweries up there. It was the Gardner-Webb bats that came to life. Gardner-Webb, the surprise last team in. Running Bulldogs had to basically win the series over NCA&T to clinch its spot. They actually lost the series, but Winthrop could not come back to beat Asheville. So Gardner-Webb on tiebreakers got in as the number 6 seed. And UNC Asheville, that had the 3 seed locked up, they were able to hold off High Point, number 4 seed. Now they face the team they sort of picked, if you will, as this comebacker ends the inning. Not before Gardner-Webb scores 3 runs on 4 hits. And the running Bulldogs are often running here in the Ingles Big South Championship.
Citywide to countryside. Whatever you drive, wherever you go. Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading protection to get you there, no matter where the road takes you. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
Big things are happening this year across the South, from the mountains to the coast. The fast are getting faster. The strong are getting stronger. And the best is getting better. Get ready to raise your expectations. Get ready for something big. Ingles, a proud sponsor of Big South Sports.
Gardner-Webb throws the first punch here in the Ingles Big South Championship. 3 runs against UNC Asheville. And now the number 3 seed. The Bulldogs have to work from behind in this first inning because, Cole, how about Gardner-Webb coming out, not only swinging the bats well, but playing with that underdog mentality in the first inning?
They are. They were exceptionally hungry, aggressive early in counts, but also very disciplined in hitting breaking balls at a high level.
From the running Bulldogs to the Asheville Bulldogs, UNC Asheville, 85 doubles in this order, led by the do-it-all shortstop, Dominic Freeberger.
Well, Freeberger's, what an awesome tool to have in that lineup. This is a lineup throughout that can hit the ball in the gaps. They're not going to hit it at as quite a high as a clip as they may like, but 253 with some extra base power can present problems, especially if it's hot at the right times.
Dylan Baycott had a breakout RBI year with 39 ribbies in the middle of this order, and facing the strikeout king of the Big South Conference, second team all-conference arm, Joe Simeone. It's fitting. He's a power arm against an offense that loves to put the ball in play. Could be a really neat matchup.
It is. It's definitely going to be a neat matchup. Not often do you see a guy that's thrown 96 innings already at this point in the year. Just a complete workhorse on the mound. And, you know, in his mind, he's got to be thinking, my offense gave me 3. That should be enough. He wants to settle in, go to work, and I'd be surprised if he didn't have a complete game on his mind. Defensively for Gardner-Webb, Alex Ray, first-year starting shortstop behind one of the greats, Ben Lospoluto, in Gardner-Webb history. The entire outfield, brand new from last year's team to this year's club for Gardner-Webb. A relatively new lineup, but they've come together at the right time defensively. They have. I think that's a neat point you bring up. There are a ton of new faces. Sometimes earlier in the year, it can be tough to come together, gel as a lineup, but middle of the year on, this is a team that came together, they gelled, and they're now believing and putting up a 3 spot in the first. They got to be starting to feel a little bit comfortable too. Gardner-Webb fielded 970 in conference play. That was second best in the league. So when the rubber hit the road, Gardner-Webb was a very good fielding team. And here's Ty Kaufman, the shortstop, to open this thing up for UNC Asheville. Kaufman's part of an interesting infusion in this roster.
is from Mount Airy, North Carolina, which is part of a huge contingent. Over 70% of the roster is ingrown in the state in North Carolina. And we were asking Coach Scott Friedholm about the high infusion of Raleigh natives and Charlotte natives and Fayetteville, a big part of this roster. And he said, hey, players want to stay close to home, but not right in the backyard of home, but stay in the state and be a part of this program.
I agree. I think it's a good philosophy. There's a ton of talent in those areas, but I think he's right, too. Kids want to go away to college. They want to grow up, kind of be on their own, and kudos to him for realizing that and capitalizing on that talent. It's not too far away.
There's no place like home unless you're in a neutral site tournament. Then you got to find your home field advantage. I think that belt's not into the loop. I don't know if that's tradition or not for Ty Kaufman, but he kind of let it loose on the front left side over there. And Simeone, who would love to add to his ridiculous 108 strikeouts. That's a Big South best. Strikeout to walk ratio, second in the Big South, first in total strikeouts, and third in strikeouts per 9 innings, about 10. So there's going to be a lot of swings and misses against the power right-hander, the UConn transfer. Maybe not the same velocity we came to expect during the regular season. That was 91 miles an hour, but still has big-time power. Now a payoff pitch to Ty Kaufman. Just misses on the edge, so a leadoff walk.
A bit surprising there from Simeone, a guy that can strike people out with the best of them, but gets himself way ahead in the count. And then I thought just pitched a little bit too much for the strikeout, nibbled a little bit too much on the corners, found himself in a full count. And while that fastball's not a bad pitch, full count leadoff hitter, you got to be in the zone.
So this sets the stage for Dominic Freeberger. Boy, there's some big shoes to fill in this Asheville lineup, including 15 home run hitter Brandon Langford of last year, and a single gets the job done. Not the home run hitting offense of 21, but a much more productive offense in 22.
Very productive through and through. This is a lineup that can do damage, and while it may not come from the long ball, it's a team that can hit it all the way through. And this, number 10, a great job from Freeberger, understanding fastball's coming, jumps all over it, and a great result as he hammers that ball up the middle.
Coach Scott Friedholm said, our offense relied so much on the home run last year, we struggled to score consistently. Now this year's team, in terms of scoring, is in the top 5 in the conference, all because of a 1-9 approach.
That's what it takes. It takes 9 guys that come together, and you don't always have to hit it at a 300 clip or hit 100 home runs, but you have to function well together and figure out what it is as a team that's going to make you successful, and I think they've done exactly that.
The big key has been the growth of this order, because UNC Asheville last year was struggling around 500 all year in the conference, dipped below 500 and did not qualify for the tournament. This year's team has taken that next step, and at 14-9-1, it's the best ever finish for Asheville in the Big South. Number 3 seed. And now we see a bit of control issues for Joe Simeone.
I tell you what, if you would have told Gardner Webb.
Which Bulldogs?
Yeah, right. If you would have told Gardner Webb that you're going to give Simeone a 3-run lead in the first, I don't think they would have asked any questions. They would have taken it without a doubt. But Asheville comes roaring back and now kind of has them on the ropes here in the bottom of the first.
2-0 count to Robbie Brunette. That's dotted up at 88 miles an hour. This is where you play with fire if you're Gardner Webb. You work so hard to get the lead and to possibly give it right back to a hitter who's as good as any. 350 average in Big South play for Robbie Brunette. What a beautiful day here in High Point, North Carolina. We have seen great starting pitching from Charleston Southern today and great hitting early. Now both teams bringing the bats here in Game 2. Burnett enters the Big South Tournament on a 5-game hit streak. In that stretch, 9 hits, a SportsCenter top 10 catch, and 8 runs batted in. And another base hit. This will put Asheville on the board. 3 straight to reach. So bases loaded, nobody out.
What a nice job of hitting by Burnett, understanding the situation, and that's 3 consecutive fastballs from Simeone. This one probably the worst, and Burnett jumping all over it, getting the barrel out front, and drives that baseball into right field.
So here comes UNC Asheville. Right after Gardner-Webb, 3 runs on 4 hits, and they've come storming back in this first inning. And now the pitching coach for Gardner-Webb comes out, so things will change in the blink of an eye. Wow, this is a quick developing inning.
There's just been a lack of command so far from Simeone. It's not that the stuff's bad, it's just it hasn't been located very well, and there's not a ton of confidence in the off-speed pitches. And
that's Connor Scarbrough, the pitching coach, a former Gardner-Webb Runnin' Bulldog player, 36 career starts. 4th year with the program. They found great chemistry with Jim Chester when he joined the staff 2 years ago. And that has all come together. It's kind of interesting. Scarbrough started his career as the operations director at High Point. So he comes back full circle here in High Point, North Carolina. And he guides his pitcher for a strike.
Oh, I love the change immediately. First pitch there from Simeone, breaking ball right on the corner. Completely different approach than what he's taken the first few hitters.
That is the challenge come tournament time. How do you make the adjustment? We've seen Asheville with a walk and 2 hits today. And then Simeone come right back for 2 beautiful strikes.
Yep, and the first time we've seen back-to-back sliders all day. Granted, it is early in the game. It may have been a pitch that he was trying to keep in his back pocket till the second or third time through the lineup, but desperate times call for desperate measures, and it's nice to have a slider you can pull out.
The strikeout leader in the Big South. He has all the tricks up his sleeve. Second team, all-conference arm. Now the adjustment here, if you're Dylan Baycott at the plate, is recognizing that pitch, and the Fayetteville, North Carolina product will try to make life tough for Simeone.
He will, and the first part of that comes with you're in a 2-strike count against a guy that knows how to strike people out. So he wants to pitch outside the zone. He wants you to chase. He wants to elevate and do different things. So as a hitter, you need to take a step back, relax, try to see the baseball deep, and see it for as long as you can to give yourself a chance.
So the bases remain loaded. Baycott fighting down 1 and 2. That is called outside.
That's a great take.
Joe Blumenauer behind the plate. Those sliders that bend at the last second, I don't know how hitters can watch.
It's unbelievable. You know, you talk about taking a step back and seeing it for a long time. That pitch was a strike for about 90% of its path, and at the last minute just dives off the plate. That's a really good take.
Baycott, who leads the Big South, 11 doubles in conference play. Really clutch hitter this time of the year. Goes through the fastball. The strikeout leader of the Big South adds another.
Well, Baycott lets Simeone off the hook a little bit right there. After taking all those good sliders, he knew fastball was coming. Just got a little bit too jumpy on it and actually swung through
baseman number 20
early on the fastball. That's tough with a 2-2 count, but
and the dugout reaction is priceless.
It's huge. You have a 3-0 lead. It was, it could be erased with one swing of the bat, and for your workhorse to get a big strikeout in that situation is huge.
And that pitch was amped up to 93, so the hardest we've seen from Simeone today. What a spot for Cameron Johnson. And ever since that meeting on the mound with Coach Scarbrough, we've seen a different approach here from Simeone.
It's breaking ball early, being a little bit more choosy with how aggressive he is with the fastball, and I like the change.
Simeone struggled in his final start against NCA&T, but he has been fantastic. 97 innings this year. And that workload can be a tough task for any pitcher, especially amped up from his days at UConn, 50 career appearances, to adding 20 more innings than he had ever thrown in a single season.
It's tough, and not just any pitcher can go out there and do it. Yes, you have to be in phenomenal shape and take care of your body, make sure you're recovering, but some guys just have a little bit more gifted arm of recovery and longevity, and for him to go out there and throw that many innings, especially at this day and age, is pretty special.
There's strike two. 9 different starts. Joe Simeone has pitched 7 or more innings. That is durability. And then the strikeout totals you add to that. 4 outings with 10 or more strikeouts. So one of the best arms in the Big South. Second team all Big South. Facing Cameron Johnson, who would love to spoil that testimony. He's been an everyday starter at third base. Now, you'd think as an everyday starter, you get a nice pair of white pants, not with rips holes in them all over the place.
Part of that's just a part of the game, right? You want people to see you torn up, and you may have had a couple nice plays in those pants you want to bring with you.
Brings the pants down to the tournament, but goes down swinging. 2 straight strikeouts.
What a recovery so far from Simeone, but maybe hasn't definitely not thrown 2 better pitches in those last 2 sliders. Starting on the corner, breaking just off. That's exactly what you have to do when you have your hitter down in the count with the bases loaded. You pitch for that strikeout. Great execution.
Now can UNC Asheville capitalize? Bases loaded, nobody out. And Michael Groves, who this year struggled with the bases loaded, hitting below 220. He'd love to change that with 1 swing. Or 1 hit by pitch.
Hit by pitch does the job. It's an RBI and everything, and you can't help but think Asheville has to get 1. You have to get 1 in this situation. Otherwise, it's devastating letting a guy as good as Simeone is off the hook.
Climbing out of a bases-loaded jam with a steady diet of fastballs. Because that swing path and that approach from Groves wants to make this game 4-3.
4-3 with a majestic home run probably landing out in the parking lot. There was bad intentions written all over that swing, trying to do damage. And he hits in the middle of the lineup. That's his job. But you do want to make sure in this at-bat you put something in play.
Back-to-back strikeouts with the bases loaded for the punch-out leader of the Big South, who's 1 strike away. Well, what do they say? Pressure forms diamonds?
Pressure, yeah, I'm on board with it. Something along those lines.
There's an expression that I'm trying to remember, but it's something about pressure builds diamonds or makes diamonds. And
forges diamonds? No?
Forges, I think that's what it is.
Yeah,
I'm going with it.
It's worth a shot.
Game 2 of this Big South Conference Championship. Let's see if he's up to the task. 1-2.
I do like the idea to go back to fastball, but I think against Groves, with that swing path you were talking about, I think it needs to be elevated, at least letter high, to try to induce a swinging strike 3.
And facing a tough out at the plate, and Michael Groves, already bases loaded, but nothing to show for it here for UNC Asheville. So we'll try it again after this step off the mound. Groves, who ranks 8th in the conference in RBI and leads the team with 10 multiple RBI games. So a big producer here in this spot. Now the 2-2. This should get out of the inning. Bases loaded, nobody out. And with that catch by Brady, Gardner-Webb escapes the jam. The running Bulldogs off and running with a 3-run lead.
This Big South broadcast is brought to you in part by Hercules Tires, ride on our strength. Visit HerculesTires.com. Ingalls, low prices, love the savings. Sunbelt Rentals, we have equipment for that. And First Citizens Bank, forever first.
And with that, we welcome you back to Truist Point. Gardner-Webb, who had to play to the final day of the regular season to get in to the conference tournament. They now hit with a 3-run lead, and this is what makes teams dangerous down the stretch. The spark for the season, according to Coach Jim Chester, was a win on May 7th, a come-from-behind 7-3 win over Asheville. And here's Gardner-Webb now with a chance to not only beat Asheville, but keep its tournament well off and moving.
Well, they had a big break last inning with Simeone able to work out of a jam. When you put up a 3 spot in the top of the first, the last thing you want to do is allow a team to answer back. So able to get away with one there, but now with another opportunity to extend the lead.
Here's a big swing in right field and caught on the shift. Nice job by Burnett playing out there, robbing Bo Ruscher. It's one of the few times you like a shift. It's when it works.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, the only time you ever hear about the shift is when a guy goes backside against the shift and sneaks one through or whatever, but this time working out beautifully. That extra 3 or 4 steps out into right field allow Burnett to range back and make the grab.
So Ryan Douglas, he is as instrumental as any to this UNC Asheville success, because the combo of Douglas and Justin Honeycutt, that was an all-conference type of rotation. Now, they split the duties in the Saturday games this year, but Asheville in weekend games, Saturday or Sunday, went 12-3-1, dominant on the back end of series.
Well, calling it the Dougie cut, anytime you put a name on it, it must be pretty good. And to get the start in game 1 as a combination just says how good it really was throughout the course of the season.
There are no nicknames for bad performances,
Correct.
Let's put it that way. And Ryan Douglas has done his part. 13th start. Him and Jacob Edwards are the stalwarts in this rotation. Edwards hoping to pitch tomorrow if his team can get the win tonight. Now, the caveat is if Asheville loses this game, then the Bulldogs play High Point right after this. And that's a tough ask regardless of who you are. I know doubleheaders are common.
I got to say, I think I would rather play a doubleheader than play the early game and then have the 3 to 4 hours off in between.
That's what I was going to ask you. What do you prefer? Because, you know, if you're High Point, you want to wipe the slate clean of giving up 14 runs.
You do. So the last thing, in my opinion, that I would want to do is sit on that loss for 3 or 4 hours. I always thought the beautiful thing about baseball is the next day there's always a chance to answer back, possibly sooner. The loser of this game will have that chance.
And in the words of Michael Bublé, it's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new time. Another strikeout for Ryan Douglas.
Oh, and what an answer back. Last inning, doesn't get off to the start he wants, gets hit around, but has changed up on his command and is pitching the ball a lot more effectively. And right there, going back to that elevated fastball for the strikeout.
I appreciate Alex Ray checking if the ball was held on for the strikeout. That's kind of that last-ditched effort to see. Maybe I get one more chance in the box. So with dogs barking around the neighborhood, the matchup of Bulldogs in this conference. And these Bulldogs could not be more starkly contrasted in how they play and how they've gotten to this point. Asheville, its best year ever in Big South history. Gardner-Webb coming off a number 3 seed last year. A slow start, but a nice finish to the year. There's a base hit for Jacob Marcos. Because to overcome a 2-7 start with an injured starting pitching rotation, and Jim Chester was the first to admit we were without big pieces, but they've bounced back.
They have a lot of timely hitting. The offense has woken up and is really, really good. And so far taking advantage of elevated pitches this afternoon.
Think about Bobby Alcock, the Friday night starter entering the year. He was out for most of the season, just got back in the rotation. And when Alcock went down in March, it was figuring out, okay, how do we fill this role? How do we side Simeone up in the rotation and then fill those gaps? Mason Miller, a third-round draft pick from last year, headlined this rotation. So when you're down 2 or 3 pieces, that's a hard job to fill.
It is, especially when those pieces are in the pitching staff, and you realize just how quickly all those innings, how hard they are to replace, and not only replace, but to replace at a high level and give yourself a chance to win. And when you lose guys, especially earlier on, the Friday or Saturday guys, and you have to move guys up, the whole issue changes because now they're getting tougher matchups. They're throwing against Friday night guys when they're more fit to be a Saturday, Sunday type pitcher, and it just really changes the whole complexity of the job.
Because Gardner-Webb's pitching staff was in the top third in ERA last year. You now shuffle that forward to this year, and a little different assignment as this is popped up. Might stay in the oh, nice effort there at third. Johnson nearly snagged it. That netting's not as firm as I think the players thought.
It's not. It looks like it has a bit of sag in it, and the wind kind of pushing it just off the field. And with that short wall, you sure can reach over.
Nice effort there by this Asheville defense. 49 double plays turned, and you gotta love the effort. So here's the 1-2 to Jones. He pokes it out to center. And that ends the inning. Gardner-Webb goes down quiet in the second. The UNC Asheville Bulldogs hit after this break.
Whether it's the practice field or weight room, in class or on game day, we compete down here. We put in work, day in and day out, to take a step forward towards degrees, championships. Our goals? Excellence on every level. More than 4,000 student athletes, one attitude. We are the Big South, where winners are made.
In sports,
we are used to an even playing field.
Unfortunately,
off the field,
court,
track,
closed.
not all people are treated fairly.
In the Big South Conference,
we commit to using our voices
to oppose injustices and inequalities.
Join us as we champion change
towards ensuring even playing fields
in and out of sports.
The Big South Conference.
We're allies.
We're advocates.
Where winners are made.
Gardner-Webb leads UNC Asheville 3-0 in the Ingles Big South Championship. A reminder, Hercules Tires is the official tire of the Big South Conference, and for over 65 years, providing tires with an unbeatable quality and an unmatched value. Whatever the vehicle, whatever the terrain, Hercules Tires invites you to ride on our strength. UNC Asheville riding on the strength of great defense this year and a timely offensive club. Well, after loading the bases and not scoring against Joe Simeone, it comes a little tougher task here in the second.
It does. It's tough to let a pitcher of his caliber off the hook, but especially with bases loaded and no outs. At that point, you have to have one and likely should have two. But a bunch of strikeouts and a foul out in the inning with no damage done, and that's a tough one. That's a tough one to let go early.
Especially when you consider that if there's any inning to score against Simeone, his ERA is drastically higher in the first than, let's say, innings 2 through 6.
He's one of those starting pitchers where the first inning is his trouble inning. If it's not going to be there, it's typically going to be early.
And a quick line out to start this bottom of the second off the bat of P.J. Heinz.
But commonly what you see with the workhorse-type pitchers is the further they get into the game, the more they settle in. And if they can do that, it gives them time to find that third and fourth offering that maybe they didn't have up front and can almost become a different version of themselves in the middle to late innings.
And when this starter, Joe Simeone, is locked in, we told you about the 5 starts with 10 or more strikeouts. He gets better as the start goes on. 3 complete games this year. And I realize he's not the same caliber of pitcher as Mason Miller, the Big South pitcher of the year last season. But he certainly has the pitch ability, the tools, the arm strength to be just as effective.
He does. If he executes his game plan, he can be really good. He's not going to get away with quite as much. The velocity is good. It's not great. It's
not
been
97.
Right. It's been from 89 to 93, I think, is the firmest one we've saw, and at times can have a pretty good amount of arm side run, which can make him difficult. But the longer he goes, I think he's going to start to settle in and get really refined in his approach.
Still bringing some juice to it to start this thing. It's kind of funny, right? So last year, Joe Simeone wasn't on this team. He was at UConn. But there was another player also named Joe Simone, different pronunciation. He was an outfielder, not a pitcher. And a lot of folks around the program were asking, hey, did Simeone switch from outfield to pitcher this year? It's like, no, this is a transfer from UConn. He's a big-time arm, pitched for 2 regional clubs, 50 games for UConn. And he comes right in and has been an immediate impact starter with 8 wins.
96 innings, I'll say so.
Because Joe Simone had over 20 home runs in his career. So it was like, oh, power bat, going to be an impact player. Well, no, he's the pitcher, and he's really good on the mound, too, as he throws that changeup. Have you ever had teammates like that? Same name, but different positions when they come in?
I haven't. You run into a lot of the same first name, but to have the same first and last name is I haven't run into that one.
And throw in the caveat of different pronunciations.
That's
Joe
when it gets
Simone
tricky.
Simeone, the ace, works on 3 and 2, trying to make a name for himself. It was a tough vote for all-conference pitchers this year, and Simeone named to the second team all-conference behind Thomas Harrington for Campbell, Jacob Edwards, Asheville's number 2 starter in the tournament, and then Sam Garcia, who might have to throw tonight on short rest to keep High Point in the tournament.
It will be interesting to see if we see Garcia come out because it's do or die. He may not get a chance to throw later in this tournament.
That's the big importance of winning these first games. There's a 1-out walk to Tylen Reese.
Center fielder number 6, Wade Chandler.
And we mentioned the semblance and the influx of local talent. Wade Chandler out of Apex, North Carolina. One of 10 different players from Wake County, which is in the Raleigh local market. And UNC Asheville's made a killing in the Raleigh market, in the Fayetteville market, recruiting players to go across the state, but also in pockets that are very familiar with Asheville.
Well, and that's something that you'll see with a lot of coaches is they know where they want to get their players from. Typically when coaches go to a certain area, they've brought in a few guys from there and they've had success in the program. Not only, athletically, academically, lifestyle-wise, the transition seems to be very relatable.
And think about your career at Campbell. You were one of a group of 5 or 6 players from Bakersfield,
right,
California, to play in North Carolina.
And it was very relatable. There's not just up front, not a ton to do in Bakersfield. Kind of a hard-nosed place with not a lot going on. Campbell was a very easy transition for me. Just a bit quieter, no shiny lights.
The brightest lights were at the ballpark on
right,
Friday nights.
Right.
That can be said of both these teams. They're hard-nosed, disciplined club. They're not going to have the glitz and glamour of fancy ballparks or big-time environments, and yet here they both sit now come conference tournament time, and you can get to that level of a regional, and then things get even more to the next level.
Things get really bright really quick, and you get some loud environments, and I expect this place to get pretty loud as the week wears on. I think it's going to be a fantastic conference tournament environment.
And UNC Asheville, they got thrown into the fire. Virginia Tech and Tennessee to start the year, two of the best teams in the country right off the jump. We joked with Scott Friedholm this week. Is that by design or how'd it go? And he said, well, that's a terrible coaching decision with the scheduling, but it really taught our kids how to play against elite competition.
Get the exposure early. I think it's fair to say that they've seen their fair share of velocity, maybe a little bit of home run power mixed in. But go get the exposure under the bright lights and play in front of a bunch of fans. I think it's a great opportunity.
And now Asheville with its highest finish in the Big South since 1990. I mean, these players weren't alive back then. You and I weren't alive in 1990.
That's true. I think a lot of it has to do with you can't do something if you don't know what it looks like, right? So to go see those teams, how they go about their business, how they work, kind of where you stand compared to them at that current time, I think can be a very eye-opening experience.
How about that breaking ball? Simeone wanted another strikeout. 110 strikeouts. You know, it's hard to fathom at times just the dominance that Simeone can do with that strikeout total. Now, Drew Thorpe of Cal Poly, the Mustangs, 140 strikeouts, leads the country. But to even be in that conversation,
right,
that's impressive.
I know the strikeout totals are impressive, but to me, the 96 innings is just mind-blowing. You don't see it anymore. You see guys in the 50, 60, 70 inning marks. But to see how many innings he's thrown over this whole year has been incredible.
And the average inning per start is over 6. So when your starter goes 6+ every time, that changes the whole dynamic.
The bullpen can go ahead and put their feet up for the first half of the game or so, and then maybe mix in a stretch sometime in the 5th or 6th inning would probably be a good start.
No one is even in the Gardner-Webb bullpen.
I don't blame them.
The backpacks are there, but it's empty. Whereas Asheville has, 10 or 12 guys right in front of us here in the pen. So here's the 2-2. So how about that? A free stolen base. Torres had to keep it in his pocket.
And that's just kind of Simeone focusing pretty intently on his hitter in Chandler. He has him in a 2-2 count, and the jump is unreal by Reese. Not a chance for Torres to throw him out.
UNC Asheville. Now this is odd. Only 22 stolen bases. This is not an aggressive base stealing team, but they're timely, much like Scott Rowland.
Right. I mean, you don't have to be a great base stealing team to take advantage of opportunities where, in essence, nobody's paying attention to you. Simeone wasn't going to pick over. There wasn't a lot of concern.
So this long at-bat has gone full. And Chandler takes strike 3. Boy, that two-seamer had some movement to it.
It did. We've seen some moments from big arm side run from Simeone. I think that one just freezes Chandler out of the hands, starting off the plate in, and just able to get enough run to sneak it over the inside corner.
That pitch reminds me a lot of Derek Lowe in
Very
his
much
heyday
so.
with the Boston Red Sox and the LA Dodgers. I don't know how you hit it as a left-hander because it's coming at you and then it sneaks into the front side.
It's tough. Essentially, as a lefty, you're just looking for starting point. You understand anything that starts really middle away is going to be a take. You almost have to look for that fastball to start on your hip to the inside corner if you're going to have a chance.
Because as a right-hander, like Ty Kaufman, you counter with that slider that clips off the outside corner. That's a good combination.
Yeah, it's all about starting point. As a right-hander, you have to see it on the outer half of the plate, possibly just off. But if he's able to mix and match that slider two-seam combo, it's a really tough matchup. A lot of the pitching coaches, the proper terminology for it is called tunneling. And you'll see some of the highlights on the MLB networks and stuff like that where the ball comes out of the exact same spots. They actually cross over, do almost like an X halfway through, and then they reverse and go back to opposite sides of the plate, but they come out of the exact same slot. And That's what makes it so hard as a hitter to recognize.
And that's why Joe Simeone has 111 strikeouts.
Correct.
You can't pick it up, and when you do, it's already past you. Ooh, that crossed up Torres in an awkward spot.
Yeah, it looked like that might have gotten him in the wrist. Definitely a cross-up, I would assume, but
that's never fun. Good job by the umpire allowing him to call time.
Probably a good idea to have a little short conversation.
It's one of those unwritten rules of baseball that I'm a big fan of. Protect your catcher, protect your umpire. Torres, another one of these first-year starters for Gardner-Webb. 7 different starters and 8 total contributors gone from last year's team. This is a brand-new club for Jim Chester.
That's incredible. For them to have that much turnover and be able to make it back to this point, and it says a lot about the coaching staff.
A team that 3 weeks ago was out of the Big South picture. They surpassed Longwood and Presbyterian and Radford to get right back in as the 6th seed. And you counter that with good starting pitching like Simeone, and you're in the most important game, game 1 of the tournament.
Exactly. It all starts here, blank slate. Your future is right in front of you.
The winner of this game takes on USC Upstate tomorrow. That's around 3 o'clock, first pitch. And you win that game, and then you're in the championship, the big moment. You lose this game, then you play High Point tonight, have to play 7 o'clock tomorrow, 11 o'clock on Thursday, 7 o'clock on Thursday, or Friday, and then Saturday just to get in.
That's a grindy week.
It's like working 2 jobs. That's 2 40-hour weeks just to get to championship Saturday. Then you have to win twice on Saturday to win the Big South. The last team to climb the ladder from losing its first game to going all the way back and winning the championship was Campbell in 2014. A team that lost its opening round game and then won 5 straight to win the conference title.
It's impressive.
Over 6 days as well.
To have the arms in the bullpen to even make it through that many days and games is impressive.
So here's the payoff pitch to Ty Kaufman. And now 2 walks in the inning.
Well, no damage done yet from Asheville, but they've had a number of good at-bats, and I'll tell you what I think is important is Joe Simeone is now at 48 pitches through an inning and 2/3. So whether or not you're able to do damage off him, just running up that pitch count and trying to bounce him early.
And think of how this conference has unfolded. So Coastal Carolina won the national championship in 16. Campbell's been in the title game 3 straight years. Who do you think could maybe join the club of Presbyterian to upset Campbell in this tournament?
I'd be interested to see. I really liked what I saw earlier from Charleston Southern. A bit of an underdog story there, and they showed up ready to play. I thought
we need a new animal name for these underdogs because there's already 2 dogs in this game.
There's a lot of dogs around here. I mean, it's conference tournament time. I think the bottom 4 teams have a chance to play. They all can play that underdog role, but
you can't be the scaredy cat when you face Campbell tomorrow.
You can't. You definitely can't. I liked what I saw from Charleston Southern.
14 runs. I mean, that's what a way to start. I mean, to score 7 runs in the first 2 innings, that put High Point out of the game in no time.
And as you mentioned, too, they're now positioned perfectly with their pitching.
And Simeone has crossed the 50-pitch mark in this game. Now, this is something he's very accustomed to, 100-plus pitches in 7 outings. And yet, we're only in the 2nd inning.
The only problem with the 100-pitch barrier is at this point it's scheduled to take place in the 4th inning. That leaves a lot of innings left on the table for the bullpen to eat up.
We talk about the price of bad starting pitching in the tournament. Well, taxing your bullpen can be really costly. It's like those tariffs that just keep adding up on every purchase. So here's the 0-2 to Freeberger. And he got him with a slider. 2 walks, escaped with 2 strikeouts. And the punch-out leader in the Big South exits through 2. Let's go to the 3rd inning here in High Point when we come back. Gardner-Webb with a 3-0 lead as we roll into the top of the 3rd inning. A reminder, find the best variety, officially licensed merchandise, and conference and school-branded items at BigSouthStore.com. Got to gear up with some new apparel or find that perfect gift for the Big South tournament. Get fully equipped for all your game day fun at BigSouthStore.com. I told you earlier rain jacket was the way to go. I'm thinking aviator sunglasses. Or, at this point in the day, I want a nice ball cap.
Leading off for the
little Big South logo on it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think at this point I'm seeing the flags blow directly in towards the stands. I'm thinking I could be in the market for a windbreaker.
This ball plays the wind as it's sent out to center, and Wade Chandler hops on over to make the catch. You know, you teach outfielders to run to a spot and catch the ball. I do wonder in a park you haven't played in before, windy conditions, how do you adjust on some of these fly balls?
I think at times you have to change your approach on the routine or more routine fly balls. There's going to be some drifting involved. You just want to make sure you get it in the glove, and you don't necessarily want to take your eyes off it. I think on the balls deeper in the gaps, a little bit more of a sprint. You still have to do that if you want to have any chance of getting there, but we're going to see some more drifting in an unfamiliar ballpark.
This is the one advantage UNC Asheville has as Alec Burns takes a strike. The ballpark at Asheville is pitcher-friendly. It's large. The gaps are 380 out in left and right center. This ballpark has a similar atmosphere where you have to have a defensive-minded team to track balls down.
You do. This field is big. The gaps are huge. The wind's blowing in. There's nothing but room out there on the outfield. So being able to track the baseball, keep it in front, there's definitely it's a huge asset to have a great defensive outfield.
And with Alec Burns hitting, it's like playing a game of fungo. Getting that bat ready because he's going to smack everything into the gaps. 9 doubles, 14 home runs. And just a mammoth of a man in the batter's box. And chops one hard to first. It's going to be a tough cover for the pitcher. And he's there to make the play. Don't tell me pitchers aren't athletes, Cole Hallam.
I wouldn't tell you any such thing. Douglas settles in, getting back in the strike zone, forcing weak contact, but showing some poise, fielding his position as the runner steams down the line.
Don't forget, Ryan Douglas was a state finalist as a quarterback. He's got some footwork to him.
He's got some footwork and getting over there, the proper angles, breaking down as he gets there, catching the baseball.
Went to Southeast Guilford High School, runners-up in the state title game back in 2020. As this ball smacked to right, and a quick inning for Douglas. So we go to the bottom of the 3rd. UNC Asheville needs a couple of runs, down 3 here on ESPN Plus.
There's not a secret to what actually happens behind the scenes at a bank. Here at First Citizens, we're trying to educate the client in each step of what's actually going to happen and actually have them make the educated decision around what steps and what options they utilize. We want to become that trusted advisor that actually guides them down that road, helping you reach your goals. That's Forever First.
Folks, it's only 8 a.m. and it's going to be another hot one. Today's high is 85 degrees with lows ranging in the upper 50s. Tomorrow's more of the same, plus some light wind coming in from the northeast. Coming up at 8:30, Paul's got an exclusive.
Babe, it's 8 a.m.
Fried chicken, better with Pepsi.
Yeah, join the always growing network of fans on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I bet she's on TikTok and more. You can always follow the conference source for game updates and on-site championship coverage at Big South Game Day. Follow, watch, like, and share with the Big South Conference. Yeah, that's like a 3-screen experience. Life, the cell phone, and the computer.
Well, she's probably, streaming the game. She wants to hear, what's going on, hear a little commentary on it. Watching the game live and also, keeping up with what's going on in the world. I get it.
Check the Big South bracket online.
Yeah.
See who's playing next. Get a handle on what's going on. Maybe texting a friend about, have you seen that 3-run inning for Gardner-Webb in the first? Okay, I'll be honest. It'd be pretty awesome if I got a text of, hey, watching the Gardner-Webb game in the first inning. UNC Asheville fans traveled in good amounts, and the Bulldogs, their best finish since 1990. This could be the type of year where Scott Friedholm goes to his athletic department and says, let's finish off construction. Brand new dugouts built last year, a new turf infield. Now the next goal is to turf the entire field and add indoor batting cages. And maybe a run in this tournament would be the motivation to raise some money and get that done.
I think a run would definitely have that effect. I think this is a program going in the right way. They're going to get there eventually with the stadium, but if they continue to win, there's going to be continued excitement in the area, and winning gives you the opportunity to get better things, as we've often heard.
Winners get all the nice things, and we've seen with Campbell the last 2 years winning the conference title, some of the facility upgrades they've built, and that's part of the equation. Gardner-Webb has upped its facilities with a new turf field, a turf mound as well. They've put investments into the facility. USC Upstate, besides the shattered light bulb 2 weeks ago behind home plate, they have followed Coach McGuire's growth as a team. We've seen Presbyterian add stadium lights for the first time ever. I mean, that's an investment.
It is.
So these programs, Radford has enhanced its press box and then an all-turf infield. Those are steps that are important for a conference.
They are, and they've seen some of the teams that kind of have a tendency of finishing at the top of conference have nice things, and players nowadays, especially, as the off-speed pitch in there for the strikeout, they want to go where there's nice things. I mean, they want the nice facilities, the sweet fields. They want to play under the lights, and I think a huge piece of it is having the opportunity to come to this venue and play the conference tournament.
Don't sleep now on it. Joe Simeone with 5 strikeouts. It kind of sneaks up on you, and you go, oh, there he is with 5 strikeouts.
It does, because it's been such a grindy outing, a little bit of up and down, no damage done. But
that's your favorite word.
Grindy, it's versatile. It's very versatile.
It kind of fits the word, actually. Yeah, it has a little bit of that grind mentality in it.
It's the pitch count's high. It hasn't always been refined at certain points, but he's found a way to stay in there and keep putting up zeros.
He leads the Big South in strikeouts and innings pitched. Joe Simeone. That combination is tough to beat. Then you sport him with a 3-run lead, and this makes Gardner-Webb a very dangerous team in this first-round matchup. They won the season series over Asheville 2 out of 3 as well. Let's see what Dylan Baycott has to counter all of this talk of Joe Simeone, and that breaking ball's filthy. Now, I don't know. The Big South record, Gardner-Webb, strikeouts in a tournament game is 13. Mason Miller did that last year in the tournament opener against USC Upstate. Nonetheless, just a dominant performance from Joe Simeone, who gives up a fly ball into the gap. And Capobianco tracks it down.
He just has a way of just sliding that ball off the barrel. Just enough movement on that pitch to maneuver it from the barrel to the cap of the bat. And it becomes a lazy fly ball instead of a double or a home run. It doesn't take a ton, but it's so good at dodging the barrel.
We asked Jim Chester what makes Simeone a special arm, right? Like, how does he go from being a strikeout machine to just being an overall good pitcher? And he said he's unbelievable to watch because his competitive nature is at an all-time high level.
Well, it says a lot about him. Just the fact of, I keep going back to it, but his innings count and his pitch count screams competitor, a guy that you have to drag off the mound physically because he doesn't want to leave a game. And that's what you love in a starter. Throw him out there, and he figures it's his to lose.
This should end the third inning. That was a whole commercial break's worth of a fly ball. So we'll take a commercial break ourselves. A quick 1-2-3 for Joe Simeone. Gardner Webb, a 3-0 lead. Something about the underdogs in this tournament. Charleston Southern, an impressive win. Gardner Webb doing much the same. Remember, Pepsi presents what fans like because, let's be honest, Pepsi knows what fans like. And if you're UNC Asheville fans right now, I think you like that it's only the third inning. And if you're Gardner Webb fans, you like the running Bulldogs have hit the ball well and have a great pitcher on the mound.
You do. We got ourselves a good one. I think it's far from over. Both pitchers.
There are some great couples conversations right now, like husbands and wives being like, hey, did you see this on your phone? Hey, what's going on here? Did you check your updates on this? It is really unique. Now, I want to see Justin Honeycutt come in the game because that Dougie Cut nickname, Ryan Douglas and Justin Honeycutt, that combination, they have won 8 of their last 9 Saturday games. The only loss in that stretch was to Gardner Webb.
Well, Douglas seems to be settling in, and all damage done in the first inning since then has largely looked very good. So I expect both pitchers to go deeper into this one. I expect this game to remain tight. I think we've got a good one on our hands, and I do want to see Honeycutt come in.
Mostly because he has the best ERA in the conference. I mean, you want to see the best arms go to work.
Well, if it's so good they put a name on it, I just feel like I want to be a part of it. I want to witness it.
You want to join the trend. My favorite baseball trend, other than home run celebrations, because there's been some good ones, is when the teams have rain delays and they're throwing the ball back and forth and playing tic-tac-toe and really engaging with their teammates.
I got to tell you, I'm a sucker for the fake catches when there's a fly ball and there's like a deep catch and they'll trick the cameraman and so on.
I mean, double celebrations are good too because some of them are just so creative, next level. I love when Jose Altuve hits a double next to Giancarlo Stanton or something like that, and he just looks up to the heavens and sees a giant next to him. There's a leadoff walk to Mr. Brady.
Catcher, number 10, Humberto Torres.
Okay, so Gardner Webb in the middle of this lineup. My apologies. That was Capobianco who started the inning with a walk, so Humberto Torres digs in. And he goes after the first pitch with a base hit. So 2 on, nobody out. And Gardner-Webb with its 5th hard hit ball of the game.
And largely on breaking ball, Torres going straight back to sitting on breaking ball, understanding the tendencies of Douglas, and hits that one hard enough to squeeze it through the 6-hole. Looks like it almost looked like Johnson was going to have a chance at it off the bat, but maybe just misreads it a touch as that ball sneaks through.
Remember, Asheville's defense leads the Big South in double plays. So when the ball's put in play, they're really good at catching that, flipping it, and getting the job done.
Yeah, you would think that would be right up their alley, but hit hard enough to squeeze through.
In fact, UNC Asheville, 8th in the country in double plays turn. They have doubled the amount of double plays from one year to the next. That is so hard to do.
I think it's a reflection on the pitching staff, in my opinion, to start. You have to pitch yourself into double plays, but for the defense, if you turn that many double plays, you're not missing opportunities when they come.
Got the flip cards going with the signs from the Asheville pitching staff. There's a lot of talk in the big league game about the electronic signals being passed along. I know in the college you talk to coaches up and down the Big South. Some of them don't like it as much electronically versus the old-fashioned flip card because it takes a little bit of the guessing out of the game. It's hard to decrypt the codes, if you will.
It is, and there's still a lot of people out there that believe sign stealing is part of the game, and it's old school, just like really baseball is, and some people haven't necessarily come around to it, but I think if the new systems can speed up the game a touch without really having to drastically alter the shape of the game, I would be for it.
I think the big thing is just having an understanding of pace of play a little bit, or at least knowing, okay, hey, we have a rule. There's some flexibility to it, but we can't be rigid. And you know, there's a way to keep the game moving without forcing it down your throat.
Right.
And this game's had good pace to it.
This game has had good pace.
We're in the 4th inning. We're all around just past an hour. I mean, that's what you want.
A little bit of offense involved as well. I mean, it's been up tempo.
And in the matchup of Bulldogs in the Big South, it's Gardner-Webb coming out swinging. Bo Ruscher could really do some damage.
I thought there was a chance we were going to get a little bit of small ball in this situation, but it doesn't look like that.
And now if you're this Asheville pitching staff, Chris Bresnahan has a big responsibility here. Can he guide Ryan Douglas through this spot? As that walk will load the bases.
No, why give away an out if you don't need to? Really good at bat by Ruscher, not giving in to some of those breaking balls and really good pitches from Douglas, but able to hold off and draw the walk. It's a big at bat.
It was funny talking to Scott Friedholm. He does not call his pitching coach, Scott Bresnahan, by his name. He calls him Breezy.
Breezy.
He said Breezy has the solution. Breezy does all the analytics. He comes up with the problem-solving tactics. And how does he now work this Asheville staff through a 4th inning jam?
Well, I think at this point you leave the middle guys back, bring in the corners, and let your defense do what it does best. And let's pitch to a ground ball and allow those boys to turn it up and try to bail you out of a bad situation.
Because you're right. The Asheville defense loves turning double plays. I had never heard a coach speak so highly of turning a double play. It fires up this team.
And usually it's the other way around, like, hey, we're playing great offense, throwing the ball pretty well, and in return we're playing good defense because we're out there for short periods of time, etc. But with this team, I can't help but think if they get a double play and find a way out of this inning, you heard him talk about the defense inspires the offense. Could be the turning point that Asheville needs.
Unheard of, especially in today's modern baseball. There's a big swing by Alex Ray. One of the many fresh new faces in this Gardner-Webb order. And this is the challenge for the Law Tech transfer. Can he step up for a nationally ranked team? 59 starts last year, now as a grad transfer. And that Law Tech team hosted a regional, hosted NC State, who eventually won the region. Here he is now with multiple hits in 3 of his last 4 games. So coming on strong at the plate. That's the best part about this tournament. All 6 teams are playing their best baseball this time of the year. Could this be 2? There's the tag, and he holds on to it. So Kaufman with a smart play. It brings in a run. Now 4-0 Gardner-Webb.
Well, you see the sense of urgency from the shortstop, Kaufman. This ball not gotten a lot of, very slow, choppy, but Kaufman does a great job of recognizing that, charging the baseball, tags the runner, and immediately, as you'll see on this baseball, look at the urgency from the shortstop. Great job, immediately looking to throw. There's double plays in mind throughout this one. And
okay, here comes Scott Friedholm. I think the Dougie cut switch is in order. Well, how about this? UNC Asheville to its bullpen in the 4th inning, inducing weak contact. And actually, hold on a second, Dawson Salter comes into the game. So we'll talk about Honeycutt later, but Salter enters and the starter Ryan Douglas leaves. We'll come back with the new pitcher here on ESPN+.
The new pitcher for Asheville is number 45.
New pitcher for UNC Asheville, Dawson Salter, faces a 4-0 deficit in, and Cole, this is as big of a shutdown inning as any for UNC Asheville.
It is. At this point, you've got 1 out, a runner on first and second, and you're down 4 runs. You can't allow this thing to extend any further. That's why you see Dawson Salter, high leverage arm coming in, a guy that finds a way to get it done in these situations. He's going to pound the ball down, look to create a double play. And I know we've talked a ton about the defense, but I can't think of a bigger situation for them to get that double play ball.
UNC Asheville needs big defense, so they lead on Salter, who has not allowed an earned run since March 2nd. That's unheard of. Think about the all-time tournament champions. If you want to have great pitching, you win conference titles. Well, Coastal Carolina no longer in the league. Liberty no longer in the conference. Opening the door for Campbell, 2 of the last 3 titles, and then Winthrop, who's not in this tournament, but it's a new era of conference champions.
It is, and there's a ton of opportunity to come in and put your name on the board.
A little creative bunt here to move the runner over. Because we talk about Coastal Carolina winning a national title. I don't know if any team in the Big South now has the ability to do that. But if you're Campbell, USC Upstate, Asheville in this case, you want to get back to a regional and see, can you roll the dice and win there to take that next step?
Right. I think for this year, I think Campbell's built the best for it depth-wise and arms-wise. I think Upstate, always dangerous, has had a lot of big wins in the past. I think they're capable as well. The rest of the teams, I think, they've got a shot. They're not exactly built for it. Kind of similar to what we saw from Campbell 2-3 years ago, where yes, they could get there, but just didn't necessarily match up.
And we saw that with Presbyterian last year.
Right.
0-2, but making an NCAA tournament, first time ever.
Oh, it's awesome, and I think there's a ton of teams in this tournament capable of doing so. They just need to continue pushing themselves. The more big teams they can play in their out-of-conference schedule, the better prepared they'll be for those moments.
So for those asking, why did Gardner-Webb just sacrifice bunt with 1 out? Well, A.J. Jones, who hits now with 2 outs and 2 on, his batting average is .302 with 2 outs. The most clutch hitter in this Gardner-Webb lineup.
I like it.
And a hard hit ball that's foul.
I think it's a bit of crafty coaching as well, because you bring a new pitcher into the game. First thing you make him do is field his position against the speedy base runner. And if he does get you at first base, you're exactly right. So what? You got a hitter at the plate that hits over 300 with 2 outs.
And now can Gardner-Webb add on to its lead? No hotter hitter in the conference than A.J. Jones. 30 hits in conference play. And he fights this off in a shallow left. Going to be a long run, and what a running catch. Dominic Freeberger. He's a free man. Long flowing hair, and he makes the play. We go to the bottom of the 4th.
Go Lighting. We make it happen.
Whether you're a contractor or do-it-yourselfer, Sunbelt Rentals is committed to making it easy to get the tools and equipment you need. With a vast network of locations across the U.S. and Canada, no one brings more yes to your project. Our broad inventory and dedicated team of experts makes equipment rental absolutely available, positively reliable, and unquestionably easy. Visit sunbeltrentals.com to reserve your equipment or find a location near you.
Welcome back to Truist Point Ballpark here in High Point. For the best in the Big South coverage, I mean the very best, visit BigSouthSports.com. Stay current with the latest news, results, stats, standings, and more, and those video features showcasing remarkable student athletes. Or connect to your school sites or social media handles at BigSouthSports.com.
First baseman, number 34,
I can't imagine how many people Google search BigSouthSports.com on Championship Saturday this weekend, March Madness Sunday, where the heck is insert team here, and football realignment news. Bryant joining the league in football this upcoming fall. The Big South OVC merger, or the Big OVC, adding teams from the Tennessees, the Virginias, all coming together in one mega conference. And Joe Simeone, Google searching the amount of strikeouts he has this year, 113 Ks. Last time UNC Asheville was this highly ranked in the Big South, number 3. The internet was a fledgling product back in 1990s. There's a swing and a miss. Michael Groves in the bottom half of this Asheville order. A UNC Asheville team that, fittingly enough, has 6 wins when trailing after 6 innings. Pretty resilient offense.
Well, it says a lot about the character of the team. I think you're right. Resiliency, great word to describe them. Just never giving up, finding a way in the middle innings and the late innings to come back and get it done.
Scott Friedholm said, our team focuses on urgency and purpose. And ever since the start of Big South play, they have taken off 14-9. With the ill-fated tie, it was pouring all night in Spartanburg, South Carolina, back in the middle of April. The two teams, USC Upstate and Asheville, at 10:30 elected to drive home to avoid the rain. And then as they were leaving the park, instead of waiting the game out, it started dumping in Spartanburg. Saved a lot of time.
Made the right call.
So 14-9-1 for UNC Asheville. As Groves peppers one in the shallow left, battling the bullpen and hanging on. What a catch for Capobianco. Tip of the cap to you, young man.
That's an incredible catch to have spent essentially 0 time here. You got a couple reps in BP, and anytime the bullpen's in play, it's an interesting dynamic. There's just a lot of chaos going on.
Thankfully, there was no one in the bullpen, but I know what you're saying.
There's people down there, though, and you feel as you're running by, you hear them talking, probably giving you guidance, but to go into a short wall, able to hold on.
Got to avoid this wall, run around this open door, watch out for the plate.
Yeah, don't trip over the mound.
Yeah, the elevated bullpens. And this is all in support of Joe Simeone, who has really settled into this start, Cole. Bases loaded, nobody out to start the game. He's been unblemished since.
He has. I thought he was going to get himself into a bit of a jam and thought in the blink of an eye after one inning we might have ourselves a 3-3 ball game. But, great pitchers pitch themselves out of big situations. And just as I think we talked about, he seems to be getting better. He's attacking the zone a little bit more and has a little bit better command of his entire arsenal.
Joe Simeone has gone 6 or more innings in his last 8 starts. That dates back to April 1st. So he's an innings eater for Gardner Webb. And on point with the strikeout. Oh, it didn't go. Well, at least I tried. That was my decision. We're calling the game down the first baseline. So in my eyes, he went.
It's tough. I thought live he looked exposed.
Now in the eyes of Lindy Hall, he didn't go. So that's the counterpoint.
My check swing history, not great.
Well, you were a hitter and a pitcher, so I'm curious where you sit there.
It depends on the day.
Alongside Cole Hallam, I'm Evan Bundrovich. As instead, the 0-2 is driven out to left. That'll stay in the park. It's a big ballpark here in High Point, North Carolina. 380 to the left center field gap. And it plays a little deeper with the wind blowing in from left field.
I think here, if you're going to slug it, we've seen some balls earlier in the day get out to right field, but the wind essentially blowing dead in from left field, straight in towards that right field foul line, and it's going to be tough. You're going to have to get every bit of something to sneak it out to left field.
I wonder how that affects a team like Campbell that hit 105 home runs versus a team like Gardner Webb, who's second in the league in home runs, but excellent in hitting doubles and getting runners on base. Like, which style of play is better suited for this park?
So far, it's appeared to be doubles. Doubles have played. It's a huge yard, and if you get something into the gaps, we've seen them turn into triples in this park.
This is the home of the High Point Rockers, independent league baseball. Only 3 years old, relatively new park. And we heard before the game that the entire turf on the infield is going to be torn up and replaced with an all-green turf to match the new soccer complex that's being built here as well. We're going to share the facility. So long gone are the days of the brown infield, which doesn't really matter. Aesthetically, it helps.
It helps, but it technically doesn't matter at all.
Yeah, especially on a turf field, because it all does the same thing. It just looks a little different. We also learned today, as Joe Simeone misses low, the mound here is a 5-part turf turtle shell, if you will, and it's just pieced together to make a mound.
Yeah, I was not aware of that, and they can actually completely remove the mound.
Yeah, you see some of the parts on the top of the mound and on the side, and it all comes together in a firm surface. But it's really neat how mobile it can be for tournaments, concerts, you name it. Cole Hallam's birthday party is their strike 2. You would have a birthday party. You would do a laser tag lock-in on this field, is what I would say.
If there was a way for me to have a laser tag birthday party on this field, I am sold.
Here at Truist Point in High Point, North Carolina. A home to the Ingalls Big South Championship. This pop-up will end the inning. Not only it's the strikeouts, but Joe Simeone pitching a shutout through 4. How about a chance for back-to-back upsets today? Number 6 Gardner Webb leading through 4 innings. Ingles in the Big South, thank you, the fans, for watching this year's Ingles Big South Baseball Championship. Remember tonight, the elimination game. High Point will play the loser of this game, Gardner Webb or UNC Asheville. Well, let's hope and pray the game starts right around 7 o'clock for the third and final game of the night. Here's our favorite part of this UNC Asheville pitching staff, the Dougie Cut combination. Ryan Douglas, the starter, Justin Honeycutt. They have combined to close out games in the last 2 months of the season, one of the more dynamic duos in the Big South.
Well, two arms that typically feature well off one another, and Coach said firsthand that one of them will go 4, the other goes 5. They never know which is going to do what on any given day, but typically they piece very well together. And what a treat for us to see today is Honeycutt steps out there, 1.91 ERA. This is an elite arm in the league.
Justin Honeycutt, the best ERA in Big South play, 1.4. That's better than Thomas Harrington, the pitcher of the year in the Big South. That's better than any of the first-team all-conference arms, and it's Justin Honeycutt, the all-conference reliever, who works ahead 0-2. What makes him so electric, so tough to hit?
Oh, as you've seen, there's 2 different pitches, both out of the strike zone, and he's already ahead in the count 0-2 because the baseball just takes off. It's lively out of his hand, and he manipulates it beautifully.
Good luck. 3 pitches, 1 out.
Does it get any easier than that? Straight attack mode, swing and miss, swing and miss, swing and miss, and he's off and running.
Watch this changeup. Ooh.
I mean, the depth on it was unbelievable. Typically, you'll see guys create a little bit of run, but to have that 8 to 10 inches of depth on that pitch is special.
Remember, Honeycutt was a two-way player when he was recruited out of high school. His transition into a full-time arm, and what a luxury for Scott Friedholm. His ERA is 3rd best ever in a single season for UNC Asheville. That dates back to 1990. Mark Rosenblum has the all-time record. When you're talking 30 years of history, that's an incredible feat from
special.
Honeycutt. Now, like we saw from High Point High Point earlier today, Asheville has now used 2 of its top arms to open this game. As this fly ball from Raybon is out to center. So Rabison flies out.
No, but it's a good point you bring up is even if they're able to claw their way back into this thing, what's left for tomorrow? If they're not able to, what's left for this evening is
third baseman, number 20.
That ball gets flied weakly to center. I mean, they're going to have a chance with Honeycutt on the mound to hang around, try to score some runs. But
well, keep in mind, Douglas only threw 56 pitches. So there is a chance that Douglas could throw later in this tournament.
Yeah, he would be out tonight, tomorrow, and would be live the following day.
Which winning today puts you in a great spot to play Friday.
Fantastic.
Now, if you lose tonight, you have to win 4 games to get to the final. You win today, you just have to win 1 more.
It's crazy how different it is. You just win 1 game and position yourself so well.
And when you win it, too. I mean, that's the ultimate importance. That is nearly strike 3 for Justin Honeycutt. He has been lights out in Big South Conference play. In fact, in his last 2 outings, 8 1/3 scoreless innings with 3 strikeouts total. Good luck, Big South hitters. Nice battle here from Dagan Bradley.
It's crazy. Since he's come in, it's either he's thrown a strike, it feels like, or it's been a swinging strike, but there's been almost action on every pitch he's thrown.
So Brady fights it off on 1 and 2, and now chops it to third. That'll stay in play, but the pick. Oh, wait. That is called foul ball.
Well, it's called foul late.
That was very late. Huh.
The hop just before it's fielded by Johnson at third base was in fair territory, but it looked like by the time he touched it, it had crossed the foul line. He definitely fielded that baseball in foul territory.
So with that, the at-bat continues for Dagan Brady. Sometimes those second chances can be just as dangerous. And Brady, who already has a base hit today, so hits in 6 of his last 7 games. The JUCO edition from Neosho Community College. That's out in Kansas. Oh, the places you'll go to find college baseball players. It's always unique. And he goes down swinging on the breaking ball. So the Dougie cut combination's on full display for UNC Asheville. However, it's Gardner Webb leading halfway through.
The right way to top a sub is with real red wine vinegar made from red grapes and no food coloring. And the right way to film it is in slow motion. Obviously. Because authentic ingredients make a sub above.
Citywide to countryside. Whatever you drive, wherever you go. Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading protection to get you there, no matter where the road takes you. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
The right way to top a sub is with real red wine vinegar made from red grapes and no food coloring. And the right way to film it is in slow motion. Obviously. Because authentic ingredients make a sub above.
Ingalls Markets is a proud sponsor of Big South Athletics. Ingalls, we're with you every step of the way. Glad to have Ingalls alongside with us here at the Ingalls Big South Championships. High Point, North Carolina. And here in Game 2, Gardner Webb, they started off strong with 3 runs in the first and have carried that forward into the bottom of the 5th inning. Makes you wonder, how have these lower seeds, Charleston Southern and Gardner Webb, been so effective today?
It seems that they came in with kind of a controlled aggression. They've really attacked in their games. We saw Gardner Webb attack early, Charleston Southern much the same. A ton of offense getting after their opponents early in the games is when they've set the tone, and in doing so they've kind of gotten into the middle innings and just been in control of the game and put their opponents on the defensive.
Wade Chandler attacks the first pitch, and this will stay in play. Nice catch by Brady over there at third base. Another first-year starter for Gardner Webb. Everywhere you look around the diamond, it's new starter here, transfer in there, young body sliding into a role, and that's a credit to this team.
It's huge credit to the team for coming together in a very limited time, but often overlooked. That's the job of a coaching staff. How can you bond this team, and what have they gone through to get to this point? How effective is your communication with your team, with your staff? And I think it speaks volumes of the coaching staff at Gardner Webb.
And one of the areas where that growth started was with the GAs on the staff for Gardner Webb. Cam Piercy and Patrick Ferguson, 2 former starters who are back on the staff and guiding this young group.
And how neat is that? It says a lot about you as a coaching staff as well, that some of the best players to ever play in your program want to come back and share in what you're doing. They want to continue to pass the torch and the knowledge to the new guys in the program and be a part of it. I think that that says a ton, but anytime you can have players of that caliber come back, the knowledge is invaluable. There's no price on it.
And those 2 players were starters on last year's team. Piercy in the ops role, or the volunteer role, and then Ferguson more in the operations and assistant role, which, let's be honest, a lot of these coaches all have different titles, but they're all involved with training, preparing, getting these players ready.
They're all coaches at the end of the day.
Yeah. You can put whatever title you want on, but right. They're all coaching.
It's so neat, though, that the people that had the success, there's nothing better for a young player than to be able to pick their brains of what was it like, and it's still fresh on their mind.
Guiding Joe Simeone and this Gardner Webb pitching staff. His ERA is a team best 3.6. If you would refactor his innings out, hard to do in this situation, but bear with me here. The team ERA is above 7.5. So what Joe Simeone has done is really solidified this staff.
He's separated himself. He's eaten a huge innings load, and he's a difference maker. He's a guy that they know they can put out there on any given day. They're going to have a chance to win that ball game.
This is flailed out to the shallow right. Joe Simeone now with 10 straight retired.
He's gotten better, and where I can tell he's gotten better throughout this game is the quality of swings from the Asheville offense have deteriorated rapidly over the last 2 or 3 innings when he's been attacking the zone. The stuff's a little tighter, and it's a lot of weak contact early in counts.
So Dominic Freeberger, who we've mentioned the big shoes to fill with Brandon Langford. Well, he may be just the right man to do it. He's hit above 350 all year long, and he's a two-way guy. Top 10 in the conference in saves, and a really effective hitter in this order.
Two-way guys are dynamic. They're awesome to have, but
takes one to know one, my friend.
I was two-way. I'm partial. I think they're special. There's not many that do it at this level, but it goes back to coaching again. They're not easy to manage. There's so much going on, and can you prepare them equally in both aspects? Probably not, but can you make sure that they're adequately prepared? I think that's when it falls on the coaching staff. Make sure that they're ready to do their job, and you're putting the two-way guy in positions to be successful on both sides of the baseball.
Freeberger was the first-team all-conference utility player, pitcher and hitter, although he flies out to end the 5th right here. There's the catch. So we go to the 6th inning. Gardner Webb pitching a shutout here in this opening round game of the Ingles Big South Championship, leading by 4.
She likes it when I
So UNC Asheville has his work cut out for the Bulldogs. Best finish in the Big South since 1990. And we asked Scott Friedholm, what's been the secret to success? And he said, it's working unconventionally. Friday night openers, a combination of that and winning Saturday and Sunday games. 12-3-1 on the weekends. It's an approach that's hard to do come tournament time, but it's really paid off for Asheville this year.
It has, and it's also very unconditional in modern baseball, because what I heard from Freedom was that he's not a stats guy. He doesn't care so much about the numbers. He operates off feel and matchups and who he thinks is the hot hand at the time. And that's not a very modern approach. That's very old school in his methods.
And Scott Friedholm coming by way of Boston College, so ACC experience. It's been almost a decade now at UNC Asheville, coming up on 10 years. And trying to rebuild the confidence of this program. Did not make the tournament last year. And here they are now as the number 3 seed. So that's a huge growth for UNC Asheville. Wow, Justin Honeycutt is next level.
Look, he's good. Since he's come into the game, the pace has changed. And it's strike after strike after strike, relentless attack of hitters, and it's dynamic with a 3-pitch mix.
That's 3 strikeouts now for Honeycutt, the all-conference reliever. Him and Ryan Chassie of Campbell in that reliever role. We'll see great relievers like Kevin Davis for USC Upstate. And then the all-conference reliever for Charleston Southern as well. Really good, Krishna Raj. So this conference last year was known for starting pitching. I think this year more known for relief and closing pitching.
I would agree. I think there's a lot of starters that are getting bounced out early, but where this league has come a long way, yes, it's better as a whole as far as complete baseball teams, but in no years past have we seen bullpens of the depth that we will see this year.
And don't look at the ERA because that can be misleading. A Big Staff ERA in the Big South around 7. But the amount of closers who have 5 or more saves this year is 8. That's an all-time best in the last 6 years.
There's a higher number of guys that can come in and get people out in high-leverage situations, whereas I think in years past it was coaches sticking guys out there and kind of hoping for the best.
And Honeycutt's one of the best, the all-conference reliever for UNC Asheville. He faces the strikeout leader in Joe Simeone, who himself is almost a closer with how many innings he's thrown. He's gone 6+ in every start since March. I mean, that's hard to fathom.
And I think you said 3 complete games earlier, so he's starting and closing games at times.
And that's all you need come tournament time, a pitcher to get hot and lead your team to a couple of wins. Here's Humberto Torres. The FIU transfer has found his way into this lineup. It was a catching competition all year long until the final month. As Torres grounds one out to short, that's 5 retired for Honeycutt.
Well, if ground balls are your specialty, or if double plays are your specialty as a defense, you got to love ground balls. And you could see as soon as that ball was off the bat, Honeycutt knew it was an out. As the shortstop Kaufman comes up with it for the second out of the inning.
Bo Ruscher, the middle sibling, his older sisters Catherine and Lily. Must have been some fun family moments growing up in Salisbury, North Carolina. Second-year starter for the Runnin' Bulldogs. This year mostly behind the plate, but he's been all over the place as the DH today. And he faces the #1 arm out of this Asheville bullpen. Which you can tell, Asheville's going to win. They're playing to win this game, not to save bullpen arms, be ready for the next couple of days. It's win this one now and see where we go tomorrow.
I think you have to play that way. You don't want to let this one get away, but there's such a huge advantage to winning this game that even if it is a bit expensive arms-wise, you still position yourself better than going through the loser's bracket.
And UNC Asheville has a unique strategy. Bristow, Katrine, and Chandler, 3 defensive replacements. They'll throw out this defensive unit B that comes in the 6th, 7th, 8th inning to play defense and sub out an offensive unit at the start of the game. Here's a good example of that. Well, nope, I jinxed it. That ball gets away from Groves over there at first base. But I am curious, you don't see a lot of teams that'll pull their entire outfield unit to bring in a defensive-minded unit.
No, it's pretty much unheard of to see essentially line shifts that big. That's almost like a hockey move, subbing out a whole platoon of players, but it shows you the mindset. The defense is huge to this club.
72nd error for UNC Asheville. And Alex Ray looks to bunt. Now that's a push bunt by defensive design, correct?
Yes. So with Honeycutt, the left-hander on the mound, falls off to the third base side more often than not, just through his delivery. So as a right-handed hitter, it's very easy to square around and essentially walk through that bunt as you push it in between Honeycutt, Groves, and Burnett, kind of in that triangle you want it to run out, and you're just going to try and beat somebody to the base.
There's a good fastball from Honeycutt. And it's only 85 miles an hour. It's not this overpowering 97 Kate Keeler pitch, but it's kept Gardner-Webb off balance.
It's deceptive. He tunnels exceptionally well. All 3 of the pitches come out of the same slot, and then they all 3 go in different directions.
Good battle on the breaking ball there with strike 2. Alex Ray in the bottom of this Gardner-Webb order. Again, Jim Chester has been a mastermind of digging through the transfer portal and bringing in impact players to come right away and compete for Gardner-Webb.
And I think we've heard a lot of that from the coaching staff from this conference in general. It's a JUCO heavy as that one gets away, and Rusha will scoot over to second base, but these are teams that are involved in the portal. Maybe no one as much as Gardner-Webb. Very portal-involved team, going to get some high-level players from big-name schools that they've brought in, and it's a plug-and-play. But I think the JUCO and portal-style team building is pretty big in this conference in general.
And that's modeling after Jim Chester, who was the Conference Carolinas Coach of the Year at Barton. He rebuilt that program. Had D3 success or D2 success at Lock Haven, and now trying to bring that level of mentality to Gardner-Webb, a team that has traditionally been in the middle to lower half of the Big South and has elevated them 3 last year and now fighting for a semifinal berth this year.
Absolutely, and they've gone and gotten guys with postseason experience. How big is that, as well as the talent you brought in? You've brought in guys that have essentially been in the fight. They've been in the big moments, and so you're bringing in people with a skill set, but also knowledge that they can share with the existing players.
Gardner-Webb was 1 win away last year from reaching the Big South Finals. They lost to Campbell in the elimination game, and then Presbyterian knocked out Campbell. Number 4 seed to win a championship. One of the lowest seeds to win a title in the last 5 years, which has shown how dominant the top half of the league has been.
That was a heck of a pitch from Honeycutt, just off the corner. Pitcher's pitch. I thought he was going to get the call, but Alex Ray's eyes a little better than mine this afternoon.
The highest seed to win a championship, the 5 seed in Radford back in 2017. That was the most recent success. And a walk extends the inning. Because if Gardner-Webb's going to do what has not been done in the last decade, they'll need to keep the bullpen fresh, win this game, and then beat USC Upstate tomorrow.
Well, so far they've positioned themselves very well. I thought Charleston Southern looked good. I think Gardner-Webb's looking equally as good, continuing to apply pressure to this UNC Asheville team. And
there's Jim Chester, who, with his wife Lindsay this week, was caught in his garage on the phone call with us. It was raining all week in Boiling Springs. He had to get away because it's a long week preparing for this conference championship. He's one of the reigning coaches of the year, the co-coach of the year in the Big South, and maybe an even more impressive job this year of retooling this team to getting right back in the race.
It's undervalued, right? Like, yes, you didn't finish at the top of the conference, but you took a team that's, in large part, never played together. Guys that have just met this year.
It's a Sunday Beer League team.
It is. It just kind of pieced together. You found a way to get them into the tournament, and here you are, as dangerous as anybody. Your number 1's pitching you deep into game 1, and you're positioned well as long as you finish off business here.
Now, if you're Justin Hare, the coach of the year in the conference, you go, whoa, I'm going to keep that title. I'm not just going to give up the award.
Right.
But to your point, there are a lot of coaches in the Big South that have outperformed their expectation.
Yeah, there's huge value in it. Look, I think Campbell was dominant. I think most people would agree with you, but there are coaches out there, and I think a lot of the coaches in the tournament that have overachieved are very undervalued in the big scheme of things. People look at teams, and I'm like, well, they're able to perform because the coaches have brought them together, they've got them up to speed, and they're putting them in positions to be successful.
I mean, the difference between the 8 seed and the 4 seed entering the final weekend was 2 games. So the parity in this league is due to the high level of coaching and bringing these players together.
And it's been a ton of fun to watch.
And it all resulted in Campbell winning the regular season title, Upstate finishing 3 games back as the 2 seed. And now Honeycutt's got himself in a bit of a jam here in the 6th. Jacob Marcus reached base in the 1st, and he scored with that base hit. Now he tries it again up the middle, and that's where good UNC Asheville defense cleans it up. We go to the bottom half. The Bulldogs have done their part on the mound. Now can Asheville respond at the plate when we come back?
Citywide to countryside. Whatever you drive, wherever you go. Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading protection to get you there, no matter where the road takes you. Hercules Tires. Ride on our strength.
Well, folks, it's only 8 a.m. and it's going to be another hot one. Today's high is 85 degrees with lows ranging in the upper 50s. Tomorrow's more of the same, plus some light wind coming in from the northeast. Coming up at 8:30, Paul's got an exclusive
Babe,
heartwarming
it's
story.
8 a.m.
Fried chicken, better with Pepsi.
Welcome back to Truist Point here in High Point, North Carolina. Some UNC Asheville fans watching and waiting. I know the High Point Panthers are. What's a good inning to show up to a game? Do you come in the 5th and the 6th? When do you arrive at the park to wait for your opponent?
I think largely, depending on your schedule, it'd be nice to show up, get some swings in, and kind of chat. You never want to be in a rush before a baseball game, but as we saw with Asheville before this one, they were stuck waiting for the better part of an hour for the 11 o'clock game to finish up. And
Number 10.
I think that has an impact as well. Sitting around kind of waiting, you can get lulled to sleep a little bit.
Which made scoring first, and Gardner-Webb had 3 runs in the blink of an eye. Extremely important. And then remember, Asheville in the first inning, bases loaded, nobody out. Nothing came of it against Joe Simeone.
Was there ever a doubt that he would be in the 6th inning of this one?
No, that's 10 straight starts, 6 or more innings for Joe Simeone. Granted, he has to finish this inning, but I imagine that'll be the case. And with pitches like that, why not? Simeone, a transfer from UConn, who had 21 starts in 4 years. Now remember, he only threw 108 innings in those 4 years. This year alone, he's crossed 100 innings. Those are the stories of toughness that are hard to explain as there's a ground out.
That's just a large credit to his mental toughness, just his ability to get through things. As a pitcher, anytime you make that many outings, I mean, you're not going to have your best stuff 70% of the time. You're not going to have your good stuff 75% of the time. So for him to be able to claw out that many innings, that many wins, and give his team a chance, it's incredible, especially when I'm sure there's periods of dead arm when the ball's not coming out great, but being able to fight his way through a season.
I don't know. I saw that slider, and I see no dead arm from Joe Simeone.
No, not today.
Last year in this exact same game, Mason Miller, 7 innings, 13 strikeouts. A similar type of performance today has boosted Gardner-Webb in this Big South opener.
It has. Not the strikeouts I think we were possibly expecting, but Simeone pitching deep into this one. Really no trouble except for a couple hiccups in the first, but able to escape a big jam because, you know, he's an experienced pitcher that's been in a jam or two before. I think we saw the best pitches he offered all day to get out of it and has settled in since.
The 9th straight start, Simeone has gone into the 6th inning. What a testament to his durability. Those are bookended by complete games against High Point and a complete game against Winthrop. The crazy part is in his last start, NCA&T knocked the ball around the park, 6 runs, and beat Gardner-Webb to win the series.
Sometimes as a pitcher, that's just what you need to, you know, get the bad one out of your system and bounce back. And back-to-back sliders, I tell you what, watching him pitch, you can tell this is a guy that knows how to strike people out. He gets ahead in the count and immediately starts pitching outside the zone, but in doing so, they're still competitive. They're starting his strikes. He's forcing the hitters, and in this particular instance, Baycott, to have quality takes and their high-stress takes as a hitter.
Dylan Baycott 0 for 2 today. And he's fighting off pitches with 2 strikes. Winner of this game sits in a great spot in the Ingles Big South Championship. They'll face number 2 USC Upstate, and Noah Raybon gets the start. The sensational freshman. The loser plays tonight against High Point in elimination form. Joe Simeone crossed the 90 pitch mark. That's nothing new for the ace of this staff, the UConn transfer, on 2-2. This will drift back into play. Actually, it won't. Whoa. That thing took a turn for the worst.
Oh, I'm sure with the spin, it looked like it was drifting back in play, but with the wind pushing that ball right back out, that's a tough play for the catcher, Torres.
This is what makes Gardner-Webb dangerous. Great starting pitching. Joe Simeone had a good fall, but the coaching staff noted we weren't sure what to expect come the spring. And now with this stretch of 10 straight games, pitching into the sixth, his durability has taken off to the next level. Second team all-conference. So let's try it again on 2-2. And the count's full. Dylan Baycott, always a tough out in this Asheville order. Ranked second on the team in multi-hit games. More importantly, he's filled that production. RBI leader for the Bulldogs, 39 runs batted in. And takes strike three. 6 punch outs for Simeone.
It's a good pitch call there for Simeone. It's so slider heavy with 2 strikes, trying to induce a swinging strike 3, that when he does sneak that fastball in right on the inside corner, 90 miles an hour, whew, right at the knees too. That's a heck of a strikeout pitch.
He has that right-hander run in his fastball, and that makes it really hard for both right and left to hit him. A lot of arms will throw at 95 straight. You can time that, but when there's movement mixed in, good luck.
Movement's an absolute nightmare. I mean, there's guys that I faced it through, 95 and flat, and it feels like you see it for days. It looks like 88, and there's guys that threw 88 with, a ton of jump and sink, and it felt like they threw 94 and were all over your hands.
So Cameron Johnson looks to extend this inning. He's one of 5 players with 40 hits for the Bulldogs, and maybe not this time. So Joe Simeone, the 6-inning rinse, wash, and repeat maker. He makes it all done. So we go to the 7th. Running Bulldogs leading the Asheville Bulldogs 4-0.
The source for all your conference information. News, results.
Welcome back to High Point, North Carolina, here at Truist Point Ballpark. What a beautiful day here at High Point, North Carolina. Gardner-Webb's done his damage early with the 3 runs quickly. And Asheville's bullpen, I mean, it's all Gardner-Webb. Joe Simeone with 5 strikeouts. Marcus productive at the top of the order, and they've carried that momentum forward.
They have. They got off on the right foot with the 3 runs in the first, and pretty much since then, Simeone just putting a cap on the offense of Asheville and continuing to roll that momentum throughout.
That's why Gardner-Webb leads 4-0 with our Ingles game summary. You do wonder now if you're Asheville expending the Dougie Cut combination, Ryan Douglas and Justin Honeycutt. Now, the top ace in this rotation, Jacob Edwards, available tonight for the final game, as this is just foul. How taxing would it be for Asheville to use its 3 top arms just to get through day one?
It would be extremely taxing, but if they're able to make it through, it's definitely worth it. I think at this point, Honeycutt at 40-plus pitches is gone for tomorrow. And in a four-run game, I mean, you got to think as a coaching staff, you get a couple guys on base, you're a swing away. So this one definitely not in the books yet, and I think we're going to see him pitch deeper into this one.
This ball's lined out to center. A busy day for Wade Chandler. How can Gardner-Webb continue to keep the foot on the pedal?
First baseman, number 24.
A couple runners on base. They need to have some, I think they need to have some extended innings, but at the same time, not too long, in my opinion, until Simeone is out of the game. You don't want your starting pitcher sitting on the bench for 20, 30 minutes if you want to run him back out there. It's going to be, can we strike quickly for 1 or 2, add to this lead, kind of devastate Asheville in the later innings, and then run our guy back out there until his time's up.
So Alec Burns looks to keep the party rolling, and he gets hit. We talked about hit by pitches earlier in this broadcast, Cole, but Gardner-Webb, top 10 in the country in hitting batters as a staff. They're in the bottom half of the conference in getting hit. Such a weird dynamic for the running Bulldogs.
Number 17.
It is definitely not on the side of it that I think they probably prefer to be on, but they'll take the hit by pitch when it comes their way, as that one clips the shin guard of Burns.
Never fun.
I think as a pitching coach and a staff in general, you never mind hitting batters. It means you're not scared to throw inside and kind of attack the inside part of the zone. But at some point it will come back to haunt you. And I think what we've seen so far from some of the best offenses in the conferences, the hit by pitch is a big piece of that for them.
5 teams in the Big South in the top 100 in getting hit by pitches. There's certain categories where you go, oh, the SEC in home runs, or the Pac-12 in sacrifice bunts. Maybe the Big South is the hit-by-pitch conference of the country.
I think it is. I think when they go play some of these bigger opponents, too, they get frustrated because, these guys are throwing about 94, 95 miles an hour, and you got a Big South opponent in there that doesn't care. They'll drop in the shoulder, the elbow, they'll take their free pass and allow the next guy in the lineup to try to hit them in.
So Curtis Robinson, he watches strike 2. It also puts the pressure on the opposing pitcher with a team that, whether they lean in or are adept to getting hit by pitches, it's a whole mentality, not just by accident.
No, if a pitcher hits 2 people at some point in their outing, you can essentially eliminate the inner half of the plate. At times, pitchers will become.
That runner steals second. Nice jump by Alec Burns.
Absolutely. Great read, dirtball read as they call it, where he's taking off as soon or right before that ball hits the dirt because he sees it out of the hand. But it all boils back to approach. If you can eliminate the inner half of the plate, that allows your sluggers also to get their hands extended away from the body, and it definitely has a big impact at the plate.
Good pitch from Honeycutt. He sends the batter down to a knee, and Robinson.
It's a tough matchup for Robinson. One of the best left-handers, if not the best left-hander in conference action. Tough matchup. Goes back to the slider for the strikeout, and that's exactly where you want to start it. Falls off the table at the last minute for the swinging strike 3.
I think Jared Belbin of Campbell may have a thing or two to say about that. Talk about best left-handers.
I was going for best left-handed pitchers in Honeycutt.
Oh, I got you.
No disrespect to Robinson, but I've been very, very impressed with what Honeycutt has had to offer, and I think the left-on-left matchup is always going to favor the pitcher.
Yeah. How do you think he fares with Ryan Chassie of Campbell, the 2 all-conference relievers?
Neck and neck. They do it in completely different ways, but I think Honeycutt might have a little bit of the edge.
And a line drive to second. Nice snag by Burnett. Otherwise, it's 5-0 Gardner-Webb. Time to stretch here in High Point, North Carolina. The running Bulldogs lead by 4.
Big things are happening this year across the South, from the mountains to the coast. The fast are getting faster. The strong are getting stronger. And the best is getting better. Get ready to raise your expectations. Get ready for something big. Ingles, a proud sponsor of Big South Sports.
There's over 450 million hoopers out there. One will outscore the country and put Norman on the map. Less than 1% of high school players get a scholarship. Odds a freshman would lead the nation in points and assists? One ain't never been done. 1.3% of college players get drafted. Only one will drop 48 and 11 in the conference finals. One will know this is just the beginning. Trey had a 1.5 billion chance to get here, but he saw a possibility.
This Big South Conference tournament. The winner sits in a great spot. Plays USC Upstate tomorrow at 3 o'clock. The loser of this game plays tonight against the host and local school, High Point University. This tournament has had upsets already. Charleston Southern dominated, and I mean flat out
dominated
through the first punch and the second punch and the third one against High Point. Gardner-Webb had the early strike, but really Asheville's bullpen with the Dougie Cutt combination of Ryan Douglas and Justin Honeycutt, they have kept Asheville in this game.
They have, and really what it boils down to is 2 hits and an error for Asheville. Not a recipe to get it done. There's not enough offense. The defense hasn't been clean, and essentially giving up 4, you should figure yourself to be right in a ball game. It's probably about where Asheville wanted to be from a pitching standpoint, a kind of mid-scoring game.
And this is a resilient Asheville team. When the combination of Douglas and Honeycutt have thrown, Asheville's won the last 6 Saturday matchups, or day 2 matchups, if you will.
They have hit a bit of a buzzsaw, though, in Simeone.
Resting on 6 innings of 6 strikeouts. His one blemish was the opening inning. Bases loaded, nobody out, and Asheville couldn't score.
If that's your blemish and you gave up 0 runs, I think you're having a pretty good outing.
Second team All Big South starting pitcher, and he's proven a point in this outing. Although in the Big South Conference, only 3 starters are on the first team. Some conferences do 5. It kind of depends on the size of the league.
I like the 3. I mean, it's like a weekend rotation type deal.
Yeah, who would you choose? And the 3 guys are Thomas Harrington Campbell, Sam Garcia High Point, and Jacob Edwards for Asheville, who might pitch tonight. This is in the Bermuda Triangle in left. And another quick out for Joe Simeone. A base runner has not gotten on for Asheville since the 2nd inning.
You talk about pace of play. Maybe we just need to tell the pitchers to start throwing better?
Oh, you can't say that on a broadcast, Cole Hallam. That is the ultimate jinx of a good pace of play. Nonetheless, Joe Simeone has
I've had
dominated.
an absolute blast watching him throw. I mean, it's been methodical. It's been intentional.
He's over 100 pitches, which is nothing new for Simeone.
It's been a blast to watch him throw.
The Gardner-Webb ace won 122 pitches. That's his season high against Winthrop in a complete game win. But how about this? 12 different starts, Simeone's got 100-plus pitches. So truly, this workload is nothing new.
It's where he's comfortable. This is a weekly workload for him at this point, and he still looks comfortable. That's a good slider. Surprised he didn't get the call. Misses just off.
A starter who in 4 years at UConn had thrown 100 innings. He's thrown 100 innings in 1 year. How do you do that?
You get in really good shape. You take care of your body. You have to have a good strength and conditioning program, stretching program, and you got to kind of hope for the best and a bit of luck in it as well.
And that's what's taken Gardner-Webb from being a team that was out of the playoff picture to riding Joe Simeone right back into the 6th seed and now into a possible semifinal game.
Well, they picked a good guy to stake their claim on.
Take the horse and win the Derby. This is the Ingles Big South Championship Derby and a 4-pitch walk.
That's the first at bat I think we've seen. It really just kind of get away from him. It didn't look like he was in his attack mode. He got a little bit aimy there once he fell behind, kind of pushed the baseball, and we'll see if he's able to rebound here.
Let's see if Simeone can find it against Tylen Reese, the Fayetteville product. That was the former home of the Big South Tournament, home of the Fayetteville Woodpeckers. Now we're here at the home of the High Point Rockers Independent League Ball at Truist Point Park. A lot of red in attendance tonight. You love the turnout from the Gardner-Webb faithful. And those upstate coaches all waiting right above. Great place to scout a game.
Oh, great view, great venue, great place to watch a ball game, but I think it's no surprise to see them trying to get a first-hand look as a coaching staff of who they're going to see tomorrow.
Well, attention over to first base. Neither of these teams are huge base-stealing teams. Asheville 22. Gardner-Webb with the combo of Rabison and Marcus, they each have 20 plus. But outside of that, Gardner-Webb's not a huge base-stealing club. That'll be a little different story tomorrow. Campbell and USC Upstate with 80-plus steals for each team. They love to run.
There's going to be a ton of running, ton of pick moves, and probably a slower tempoed game, in my opinion, to try and slow down the running games that each of them feature.
Those two teams dominated in the regular season. Campbell and Upstate, only a combined 9 losses. So truly the two top teams. But everyone else coming after them. Charleston Southern wins today, and now Gardner-Webb up 4-0. Starting to hear the grunts and the physicality here of Joe Simeone.
It's getting a little bit more labor intensive, I would imagine. We don't see him next inning. I think pushing up to that 108, 110 pitch mark is, if he can get out of this one, I think they'd put a cap on his day.
Tylen Reese walked his first time up. That was the last batter to reach until the most recent walk to P.J. Heinz. You can tell his catcher Torres fighting for every pitch, trying to guide his starter with already 6 strikeouts.
Torres has been impressive with his framing. The one that I think he wins a lot of is that pitch down, just below the strike zone. He does a great job of getting his thumb under it, working up beneath the baseball. He wins that low pitch quite often.
Here's pitch 110. That does not hit Reese. You can tell by the stress and the workload of Simeone, if there's any time to score against Gardner-Webb, now's the time.
Now's the time.
Facing the Southeastern Community College transfer, Tylen Reese. Old high school teammates with Dylan Baycott growing up. Reese grounds into what could be 2. There's the first, and a double play to help out Joe Simeone with 7 scoreless. Let's go to the 8th. Gardner-Webb maintaining a 4-0 start.
Big South Athletics with everything you need.
So welcome back to Truist Point. This is a Gardner-Webb team that 3 weeks ago, Cole, was 3 games out of the playoff hunt. All of a sudden, win 2 of the last 3 series, get some help from Asheville fittingly along the way, and now a chance to send Asheville to the losers bracket. Or, sorry, elimination bracket.
The elimination bracket.
I want to be politically correct.
It could be an all-time turn of events, right? The team that helps you get in, assists your cause, and now you face them game one. They've got you on the line. Gardner-Webb looks good. They came here ready to play ball. They're here for a reason.
In the final day of the regular season, Gardner-Webb had a win-and-in scenario, but the Runnin' Bulldogs lost, which meant a Winthrop win, and the Eagles were in the tournament. But Asheville won the series over Winthrop, and Peter Capobianco flies out on the first pitch. Nice job to stay in play by Michael Groves for the first out. So Scott Friedholm has gone all in, all hands on deck, with the combination of Douglas and Honeycutt, which means these two arms will not throw until at least Friday. Assuming you get there.
At the absolute earliest, I think it would be, I guess at 52 pitches, that's about right for Honeycutt. I think Douglas was in a similar ballpark, but you wonder how they bounce back.
Well, let's go back to Little League baseball, right? The old rules of Little League. When you threw 45 or more pitches, you had to sit 2 days.
Right. I think they're capable. It also depends on how their arms react. Their coaches will know that more specifically than I think I could speculate. But you also have to wonder, they haven't done this all year. Are they going to be able to?
Honeycutt is ready to go. Ooh. That's rocketed out of
So is Torres.
Torres is ready for that pitch. Alongside Cole Hallam, I'm Evan Bundrovich. Game 2 of this Ingles Big South Championship. The winner plays Upstate tomorrow, 3 o'clock. The loser plays tonight against High Point, who just arrived at the park a few minutes ago. And Honeycutt on the changeup forces weak contact. A really good Asheville defense going right back to it.
And the smart play there by Johnson doesn't turn it into a do-or-die play on the slow chopper. Understands Torres doesn't run exceptionally well, so stays back, takes that hop, and fires across.
Isn't this the awkward spot if you're High Point? Do you root for a team? Like, what do you do if you're on the bench waiting for your opponent?
I wouldn't be paying attention at all. None of it.
Oh, come on.
None of it matters.
But it does.
At some point, this game's going to end.
You're play the loser of this game right after 7 o'clock.
You're going to go in one of the dugouts. One of the teams is going to stay in the other dugout, and then you guys are going to play. But, like, there's not a huge transition. The next game will have a completely different vibe.
Do you try to avoid Jacob Edwards and not play Asheville if you're High Point? Do you want to avoid a hot-hitting Gardner-Webb team? Like, how do you, as a player, what is your approach to this matchup?
I think it needs to be attack. So you don't want to avoid anyone. You just want to get whoever you get, and then you want to go attack them.
See, this is why I was bad at sports growing up, because I'd be looking at, oh, this team, I beat them in the regular season. Oh, the matchups favor this team, and all that stuff as Bo Ruscher flies one out. Oh, look who's charging in there. Oh, and off the mitt. Nearly a catch. Johnson gave his best effort.
I think that ball drifted significantly further than he thought. I think Freeberger coming in on it had a shot. Johnson was pretty confident in his call off on that baseball, but I would have liked to see Freeberger come in and take charge with a whole lot easier angle on that baseball.
Cameron Johnson from Fuquay Varina High School. He had a perfect GPA and he almost snagged that ball.
Would have been a heck of a catch.
I want to see what's in that Slane family playground and fun area is my question. As that's called strike 3, Honeycutt silences Gardner-Webb with another scoreless frame. Well, 2 more chances for the Asheville Bulldogs. Can the bats come to life against Joe Simeone? We'll find out next.
The right way to top a sub is with real red wine vinegar made from red grapes and no food coloring. And the right way to film it is in slow motion. Obviously. Because authentic ingredients make a sub above.
Big things are happening this year across the South, from the mountains to the coast. The fast are getting faster. The strong are getting stronger. And the best is getting better. Get ready to raise your expectations. Get ready for something big. Ingles, a proud sponsor of Big South Sports.
The right way to top a sub is with real red wine vinegar made from red grapes and no food coloring. And the right way to film it is in slow motion. Obviously. Because authentic ingredients make a sub above.
Joe Simeone, dominant again in Big South Conference play. Second team all-conference arm, led his club with 7 scoreless innings.
He's been great. He's the guy that makes this team go on the mound. You see the strikeouts. He's known for doing that, pitching deep into games, and he is not disappointed here today.
Count him, 6 strikeouts for a Hercules Tires strong move of the game. And Joe Simeone is so strong. Here he is at 111 pitches going back to work in the 8th inning.
He must have heard me talking about I thought his day may come to an end, but look, this is a guy that's prepped for the moment. He pitches deep into every ball game, and there's not many pitchers in nowadays game that are very comfortable going over 100 on a regular basis, but he is one of them.
He is the alien in amidst Big South pitchers. 122 is the season high for Joe Simeone. And something tells me he's going to push that number to the test tonight.
It's almost been Max Scherzer-esque, if you will. It's a Bulldog mentality. I know it's punny,
come on.
Punny because
in the matchup of Bulldogs?
Right.
Okay, anyway.
But he doesn't want to come off the mound. He pitches deep into every game, and he's crazy competitive.
He had 5 innings of 1-run ball when these teams met in the regular season. Gardner-Webb won 2 of 3. Here in the postseason, it's a whole different level of domination. Asheville goes to the bench. Corbin Lanowitz from Kernersville in this pitch hitting spot. So 9-1-2 in the Asheville lineup. Remember, UNC Asheville implores more defensive changes than any team in the Big South. Some for defensive-minded reasons, and some to make it tough on bullpens, or in this case, starting pitchers.
I think this one's definitely the case of making it tough on starting pitchers. Most of the lineup's seen Simeone at least 3 times through, and they haven't had an answer. Not only that, but they haven't really had close to an answer or many good at-bats to show, so get some fresh blood.
Lanowitz skies it into right. And much like his predecessors, a quick out. Think back to that first inning. Bases loaded, nobody out for UNC Asheville. Anything there could have changed the entire complexion of this game.
I mean, if they scratch back with a sac fly, weak ground ball, they scratch one across, it could have been a little bit of offensive belief to rely on, but thinking back on the prior 7 innings of work from Simeone, I don't think of many hard-hit baseballs, many scares.
Coley surrendered 2 hits today.
Not only that, but there hasn't really been any loud outs.
And you know when those hits came? The second and third batter of the game.
It's been a while.
You could take a Gilligan's Island 3-hour tour and come back, and it's been the same score since the start of the game. First round action of the Ingles Big South Championship. Joe Simeone, maybe a bit slighted at being on the second team all-conference. He's bringing tremendous performance.
I mean, you have to take that personal, right? I mean, he's a fantastic pitcher, a pitcher of his caliber, I would think.
Had the 4th most votes of starting pitchers.
You're not going to settle for second team. You want to come here. You want to send a message and show up on day 1. Your offense gives you 4, and you look them in the eye after the 3rd inning, 4th inning, say, hey, guys, that's enough.
Nearing a season-high 122 pitches. This mirrors what Mason Miller did last year in the Big South opener. 7 innings, 13 strikeouts against a really good USC Upstate team. I don't know how you rank all-time starts in Gardner-Webb playoff history, but those 2 are right up there with them. But a 4-pitch walk gives a little bit of life here to Asheville.
We saw a 4-pitch walk last inning as well. He's able to answer back, but it is strange to see it kind of come and go in the late innings. He let one get away from him last inning, was able to answer back with some good pitches. We'll see if he can answer back here the same in the 8th.
Dominic Freeberger.
The bullpen is warming. Looks like Gardner-Webb's a bit short on bullpen catchers, but at least one's out there.
They're hard to come by.
Yeah, I was going to say, you need to find like a walk-on and give him some gear to. But nonetheless, the bullpen getting ready. I do wonder how Gardner-Webb approaches this with Joe Simeone, because much like Max Scherzer, He is not going to come out of this game unless he is taken out.
Right. Physically, I mean, taken out of the game. That's a competitor. If I'm Gardner Webb at this point, as long as he's comfortable, I think I live and die with the results of his performance.
And with the pitch count, he's not coming back until a regional, right? Like, so he's done the rest of the week.
Yeah, he is completely done.
Now he falls behind to Dominic Freeberger. This is not where you want to be if you're Gardner Webb.
Now it's getting a little wiry here in the later innings, but
see some nails being chomped on in the background.
Isn't that baseball, though? This lead was so comfortable 15 pitches ago.
Yeah, bottom of the 8th, it was 4-0, and all of a sudden, no runs have come, but a little bit tighter. Ooh, how about this line drive towards the bullpen? That'll get the arms loose quickly. And Dominic Freeberger, he can put some hard contact. A .430 on-base percentage, which is the perfect spot if you're UNC Asheville.
It is. If you have a guy at the plate, this is who you want up there. He can slug it. One swing of the bat, this could be 4-2 in a hurry.
Asheville has one win when trailing after 7 innings. That was in Big South Conference play. And would love to bring out one more.
I have to say, though, that's the worst slider we've seen from Simeone. That is a fatigue slider, backed up the whole way, no bite, spin rate's completely different. So,
and this just matched his career high in pitches.
It was labor-intensive last inning. You could hear it in the grunts, but now you can see, I mean, visually to me, that's the first pitch where I've been like, wow, that's completely different from what we've seen all evening.
So this is where Connor Scarbrough, the pitching coach, leans on his ace in Joe Simeone. And he proves him right with the breaking ball. How about 7 punch-outs?
Well, he went from one of the worst pitches he's thrown all night, completely backs up on him, but he channels deep down and almost uses it as a setup pitch to throw a sharp slider right off of it for the strikeout.
Second baseman.
The Bulldog in the truest form wins this matchup.
What a pitch.
And what a reaction.
That's all about how bad do you want it. I think it's safe to say Simeone wanted it more tonight.
So here's pitch 124. Do you send him out to the 9th if he gets this next out of Burnett?
Ask him.
I can hear him from here.
Ask him. You know.
Oh, you're saying if you're the Gardner Webb coaching staff.
Just ask him how he feels. You know, they're going to have a good feel for his responses. There are pitchers through and through that will look you dead in the eyes and will lie to you. So, I mean, there'll be guys at 150 per se, and are you good? Yeah, coach, I'm absolutely no arm pain. They're going to go have Tommy John the next day, but it's fine. You know, so you have to be aware of those guys, but this is a guy he's well-versed in going deep into ball games.
Has 2 complete games in conference play and has really taken over. Here's Robbie Burnett trying to extend this 8th inning. Ground ball should wrap it up. Joe Simeone with a season-high 125 pitches. He's 1 inning away from leading Gardner Webb to a win. It's the Joe Simeone Show on ESPN+. So Gardner Webb scored 3 runs in the first inning. Remember, Asheville had the bases loaded, could not score in the first inning. How about this? 8 innings later, that's the entire difference in this game.
Well, when the postseason comes around, it's all about the teams that take advantage of opportunities. Gardner-Webb does exactly that, jumps out to a lead, and when Asheville has a chance to answer bottom one,
off for the Bulldogs,
they let it slip away, and
number 3,
it's largely been the difference in this one.
So Gardner-Webb, who won the regular season series up in Asheville when these teams met, now tries to take 3 of 4, and maybe the biggest game here in the opening round of the Ingles Big South Championship. Alex Ray against the dynamic duo of arms, Ryan Douglas and now Justin Honeycutt, who's on 4 innings, hitless with 5 strikeouts.
It's been good.
It's just penciling a 0 when Honeycutt comes in. Good test for his defense, and Burnett's there. So really give credit to both these pitching staffs. I mean, the way Simeone's dominant, 8 innings, career high in pitches. And then Honeycutt, who settled this game down and kept Asheville in it.
He's done a fantastic job. I mean, look, in the college baseball game, if you give up 4 runs, it's a good outing. And you should have a chance to win. The offense hasn't showed up. They're going to have 3 outs left in the bottom of this frame. But the pitching today largely has been good. Douglas wasn't super sharp early. They took advantage of it. But
to your point, when Asheville scores 5 or more runs, 17-5. So more times than not, they're winning.
It's typically the number, right? If you can keep them to 4 or less, it goes down as a quality start, and you're going to win a lot of games in college baseball.
Oh my gosh, third base coach almost got decapitated.
And that's why they extend the netting all the way down.
That is friendly fire in the toughest way. Poor Anthony Marks was on the move there at third base. Boy, this ball bounces all over the turf, and the first baseman has it for the second out. We talked to all the coaches this week, and they said, oh, the turf's really spongy. It's explosive. It bounces. How does that affect the defense?
You just have to get used to it, understand your hops, and I think for the most part, the defenses today have done a good job of adapting, and it's tough. I mean, you don't have a lot of reps on it, more or less. Hang tough, try to get your hop, and go get it when you can.
Gardner-Webb has turf at its home facility. UNC Asheville does not, even though they're raising money for turf, and that could be a project down the road. But these teams in conference play face the likes of Campbell and High Point and Radford with turf, but all the turfs are a little different, you know?
That's what I found fascinating. Every coach kind of had a comparison for how this field played, and you know, Coach Hare was like, well, it's a combination of Duke and somebody else and this turf, and
they're like interior designers making homes together.
It's crazy. Every coach has a iron, crystal clear memory of all the turf they've ever played on, and they were comparing it. And
they're saying, well, High Point's field at University is more of the turf's higher up in the ground, and the turf's lower
like a
here.
Field turf. This is more of an AstroTurf, and it was fascinating.
Got to get my turfology degree. This ball smacked foul.
We got 5 to 10 comparisons. None of them were remotely similar.
Oh, God, it's like asking 5 coaches how to get to a restaurant for a post-game meal. You get 8 different directions. You detour here. You take this road. Sort of like how these teams have gotten to the tournament. Asheville with its best ever finish since 1990 in the conference. And Honeycutt nibbles off the edge.
That's a good pitch. Good pitch, better take.
Gardner-Webb had to win 3 of its last 4 conference series to get to this point. They were on the outside looking in. And now can turn the whole tournament bracket. Charleston Southern, the 5 seed, beat High Point. And now can the 6 seed join the party? Those are 2 really good pitches.
I think Honeycutt, though, is nearing the number to where Friday's no longer an option as well.
Well, when you fall 0-1 in the tournament, you play tonight, so you need this win.
You do. You need this win. You need possibly more likely than not they're going to need a win this evening as well.
And the way Joe Simeone is pitching, I don't know how you will a run across if you're UNC Asheville.
He hasn't given you anything, and your one chance, he slams the door with 2 strikeouts and a foul out to end the inning.
Honeycutt trying to match him pitch for pitch.
In all fairness, Honeycutt pretty much has. Since he entered the ball game, He really has.
UNC Asheville has one win this year when scoring 4 or less runs. That was all the way back against Niagara on February 26th. So any offense Gardner-Webb can score would almost be the knockout punch.
If Gardner-Webb's able to extend, I think you're exactly right. They get to 5 runs. It's a devastating blow for Asheville to have forfeited really one more, extended upon this lead, and it's tough, especially with only 3 outs remaining.
First baseman, number 24, Alec Burns.
See that Gardner-Webb pen just waiting in the wings. And I think they'll be waiting a long time with Joe Simeone on the mound.
They very well could be waiting until tomorrow.
So how about this? Scott Friedholm with arms ready in the pen. He's going to make the call here and take out Justin Honeycutt. You wonder how much of this is keeping arms ready to go, or maybe trying to extend his reliever. Well, you know what? I may have spoke too soon here.
I think they may be keeping him in. I don't know what they have to gain by bringing in a new arm.
Yeah, you almost burn one to try to save another.
Right, he's burnt, right? Honeycutt's not coming back tomorrow, but if he exits the game and you bring in another arm, especially if it's a high leverage arm, are they going to be available for the next game? Yes, they will. They'll be available tonight, but they're not going to be quite as sharp.
We have the luxury of calling this game near the Asheville bullpen, so we see all the arms warming up and gearing to play. But in this case, just a false alarm. You got to be careful pitching to Alec Barnes as well, or Alec Burns, I should say, given his power. 14 home runs, just behind Drake Pearson of Campbell for the home run lead in the Big South.
He does not get cheated at the plate.
No, there is a home run mindset every time he steps into the box. Which, as a pitcher, did that ever affect you when you saw an opposing hitter with such a monstrous swing and a big uppercut?
I loved it. Personally, I had more success against those guys. My stuff matched up better with them, but it was always fun for me to see some guys take a hack, try to blow a fastball by them. You got to be a little bit finer with your locations, but you can also get them to chase out of the zone more often than not. It was the guys that were very compact, small, back control guys that really gave me fits. But I did always love watching the big swings.
Alec Burns, the transfer from West Virginia, he has thrived in the Big South. 3rd in the conference in slugging, 3rd in OPS, and everything he hits is hard, which there's a fear factor element to that.
Well, and that's when he beats you. The second you get a little bit timid or start nibbling, see, that's a very competitive pitch. He starts at middle and runs it just off, very competitive. But the second you allow that big swing to intimidate you is when you miss and that ball gets hit a mile, turns into a souvenir.
And in this ballpark, hitting it a mile turns into a triple or an inside-the-park home run. It's a pitcher's-friendly park, and the count is full. And yet we saw Charleston Southern this morning score 14 runs.
It's doable. More so from doubles and triples than most parks that these teams play in all year, but the runs are still going to come.
Death by 1,000 cuts. That's how you win a game in this ballpark. And now can Honeycutt escape this jam? You bet he can, with a front door breaking ball to freeze Alec Burns. Let's go to the bottom of the 9th. Can Joe Simeone finish off the complete game win? We'll find out next.
There's over 450 million hoopers out there. One will outscore the country and put Norman on the map. Less than 1% of high school players get a scholarship. Odds a freshman would lead the nation in points and assists? One and never been done. 1.3% of college players get drafted. Only one will drop 48 and 11 in the conference finals. One will know this is just the beginning. Trey had a 1.5 billion chance to get here, but he saw a possibility.
There's not a secret to what actually happens behind the scenes at a bank. Here at First Citizens, we're trying to educate the client in each step of what's actually going to happen and actually have them make the educated decision around what steps and what options they utilize. We want to become that trusted advisor that actually guides them down that road, helping you reach your goals. That's Forever First.
Joe Simeone wants the ball in the ninth inning.
He does, and heck, I think he deserves it. It's been a one-man show out there on the mound for Gardner-Webb, and if I'm that coaching staff or any of his teammates, that's the dude I want on the mound.
He got out of a bases-loaded jam in the very first inning, escaped the threat in the eighth, and ever since it's been the Joe Simeone show. Season high in pitches and a dominant 8-inning effort.
It's been dominant. You look at 2 hits on the evening.
In the first inning.
In the first inning. So there hasn't been any hits for 7, right? And, knock on wood as I put that out into existence as well. He's been able.
Are we sure this is real wood?
It's close enough.
Yeah,
right?
looks good.
Baseball gods aren't that judgmental.
I know Jim Chester would appreciate it as head coach.
But he's pitched his way around 5 walks, which is vastly impressive. It hasn't been all super smooth sailing, but this is a pitchability guy that gets it done in the big moments.
So you hear Simeone after every pitch, grunting, exerting that effort. How mentally do you get to this point to extend yourself farther you've ever gone?
This is a season's worth of work, in my opinion. If you give the entire season every ounce of what you have, this becomes a lot easier. This isn't something where you coast your way through the season, you don't work very hard, and then you can just turn it on. This is, I've put so much into this, and I'll give anything else in my body to get it done because that's how much this moment means to me. So this is a season's worth of work. This is a career's worth of work coming out in one moment.
Jim Chester, his head coach, loves the competitive fire from Joe Simeone. He said it's the best he's ever seen. He's putting it on display in this ninth inning.
It's elite because I think if we asked him, he would tell us he didn't have his best stuff tonight. Has not been his best stuff by far, but mentally it just seems that he's better than everybody else.
And that's why Jim Chester gave him the ball for the ninth inning, searching for another complete game win. Instead, here's a fly ball that could be trouble in the gap. You got to remember what park you're at, Evan. This is truest point. It's a pitcher's park, so there's the first out.
Trouble just about anywhere else but this park. It is huge, and we have not seen anything even get to the track to the left side of center field.
And that's why Joe Simeone has yet to allow a hit since the first inning. He's searching for, and it definitely is possible, his 3rd complete game win, all 3 in conference play.
Third baseman, number 20.
Coming up
Cameron
tonight,
Johnson.
the loser of this game, which could be Asheville in a couple of outs, will take on High Point. And how about that, a chance for one of the top 4 seeds to go home on day 1.
It's incredible. That's what the tournament's all about. Upsets are a ton of fun. Baseball, even more so, where anybody beats anybody on any given day.
So this is why the Big South Conference should stick with 6 teams. I think 6 is the perfect number.
I think 6 is the perfect number, too, because you have to earn your ticket here. You don't just get to coast through season, not finish very well, and not
next
be
year with
competitive.
10 teams, it's 60% get in. Not everybody, but the top 6 out of 10 get in.
I think 6 is a fair number, and I think in large part the top 6 seeds all have a chance of winning.
Wow, you don't get that strike call, 132 pitches.
Yeah, I think he's earned that one. That pitch down, I think Torres receives it beautifully as well behind the plate. I think he's earned that call.
Yeah, Cameron Johnson, the benefit of that call. So it's 2-1. Even the graphics op was on our side there.
I agree.
Yeah, I liked his call too. So here's the 2-1. And there's strike 2, so it all evens out.
What's interesting to me is I had a pitching coach tell me a long time ago, scared fastballs get hit. No matter where they are, scared fastballs get hit. Well, for a lot of the workload tonight, Simeone has been over the middle of the plate, but he said fastballs with bad intentions just have a way of missing barrels and creating swing and miss, weak contact. I feel like every fastball he throws just has bad intentions.
Line drive that drops down. Barehanded scoop and a throw to first.
That's the play of the day. Might be the play of the year. I'll go ahead and put the ticket forward for play of the tournament, but that's a shortstop that
Alex Ray, get the job done.
Has not played on this field much, but this is a hop I don't think you see very often except for on turf. It's almost going to bounce backwards, overruns it, But the bare hand and the strike over to first base, that's a shortstop that wants it for his pitcher on the mound.
And then Joe Simeone was bouncing off the mound like he just got a strikeout.
Look, I'll tell you that. He wants it for his pitcher. You feel it. It's contagious. When you keep the defense involved, good things happen, and that's a heck of a play.
Strike one to Michael Groves. Gardner-Webb won the season series 2 out of 3. Winning that series was a big part of the reason why Gardner-Webb earned the 6th seed, earning the tiebreaker over Winthrop. Now they have a chance to eliminate and send Asheville to the elimination round. 1 pitch away. This might do it right here. Alex Ray again from his legs. That is nearly dropped. Oh! Alec Burns nearly had it. We have got to see that again because did it come out of the glove? Did he have possession?
I think it did. I couldn't tell if he was safe or out. It was close at first base no matter what.
Catcher,
but
number 9,
to even make this a play on a ball hit that softly, true bare hand.
Okay. It did skip off his glove.
I think you would have had him.
Wow. Had us all fooled.
I don't know how you measure those plays against each other if that gets made. Those are special.
Sports Center, you are watching brilliance from Alex Ray. And let's not forget, Joe Simeone has surpassed his career high in pitches by a bunch. 138 for the 5th-year senior.
He's 16. He's almost an inning's worth of work over his career high.
The UConn transfer who's been to 2 regionals with UConn. Now he tries to help Gardner-Webb get back to regional play.
It's a good pitch.
Nice slider here. How about this effort at first base?
He would have had him.
Simeone's like, we got it. Oh, we don't have it.
Not a lot of things are more special than coming to the conference tournament and throwing a complete game.
And that's passion. That's not frustration.
You can feel it up here. I mean, he's the better part of 60, 70 yards away. I feel the energy.
At least. Last chance for P.J. Heinz, who was down to his final strike. Joe Simeone got out of a bases-loaded jam in the first inning. He has been brilliant since. Now searching for his 3rd complete game of the year. Can Gardner-Webb pull the Bulldog upset over UNC Asheville? Nice back pick to first and just laid. Michael Groves is a wanted man over there at first base. Heinz walked his last time up. That broke a streak of 5 straight perfect innings for Joe Simeone. Now a couple of frames later, he wants the complete game shutout. The ace for Gardner-Webb, 5th-year senior, works on 2-2. And that's called high.
Wow.
Nice presentation from Humberto Torres behind the plate.
He works back there, I'm telling you. He's one of the better receiving catchers I've watched.
In support of the 2nd-team all-conference arm, Joe Simeone, my immediate vote for Big South all-tournament team, putting his team on his back.
He's got to get it done. I want it for him at this point.
A career-high 142 pitches. And here's the payoff pitch. You betcha! Fastball down the middle, and Joe Simeone finishes off the complete game shutout.
Well, what an absolute gem from Joe Simeone. The offense does enough to get it done, but let's be honest. Tonight was the Joe Simeone show. It was a blast to watch, and you're exactly right. Putting the team on his back.
Blows it by the last chance in P.J. Heinz. And how about the running Bulldogs? The last team into the tournament. They got in via a loss from Winthrop. Now on to the 2nd round to take on USC Upstate tomorrow.
That's a team that wants it. I can see them being a problem.
So for Cole Hallam, I'm Evan Bundrovich saying good night from High Point, North Carolina. Gardner-Webb, a bunch of zeros on the board, a 4-0 win. The running Bulldogs move on to take on USC Upstate. Asheville plays for their tournament lives tonight against High Point. This is a presentation of ESPN.
like